Okay, people, did anyone catch what was going down on Peak 1's Snow Jam race event today? It was out of control nasty. Riders were cutting each other off, punching, battling, all the while being 2 steps away from breaking the sound barrier. Quality entertainment. Watching the race on Peak 2's Intimidator, I learned some valuable insight regarding the SSS psyche. Don't just win, destroy. Don't just outride your opponent, smack him silly up the side of the head. Good stuff to know for all you riders. I watched something interesting on Peak 2's Intimidator race event today. I guess you'd describe it as blatant nastiness. I'm serious. Riders hitting riders, people smashing into each other, dogs and cats living together. Total chaos. Okay, people, there was quite the race over on Peak 3's Gravitude earlier today. Edge of your seat excitement, some truly epic riding, and a surprising amount of fisticuffs. Well, I'm not surprised there was scrapping. I'm surprised by Peak 3 these guys have the energy to throw a punch. You know, you can tell things amongst the SSX riders is at a Peak 3 state of mind. A lot of eyewitness reports coming in from Gravitude of competitors getting pretty physical with each other. I just hope they remember, fun is fun until someone scratches a board. The race event that happened on Peak 3's Gravitude, now that was riding, baby. With the skills being shown there, you know you're watching the best of the best. The punching and high-speed head slapping? Who knew speed could lead us to so much pain? Okay, y'all, things were moving into the full contact zone up on Peak 1 today. It was a free-for-all combat out on Snow Jam. Not just a race, this was a boxing match. But hey, I guess what happens on the mountain stays on the mountain. Well, we hope. Okay, if you ever had hopes of breaking into the SSX circuit, check out what happened during the Snow Jam race event today. How bad did these guys want gold? Bad enough to fight for it? You want to play at this level? Get a mouth guard. That's my advice. Okay, Metro City Breakdown should be renamed Metro City Smashdown after what went on out there today. Things were getting a little personal as competitors battled it out literally for a podium visit. Apparently these kids play for keeps. Well, from what I saw in my mountain camps today, anyone who was involved in the Metro City Breakdown race is probably back at their hotel nursing some pretty serious bruises. It was an all-out free-for-all fight today. Nasty, but cool. All the same. Although no one was disqualified, event officials were close to booting a few riders from competition today. Metro City Breakdown was quite the scene as riders resorted to punches and body checks to get their way. Can't we all just get along? No? Yeah, all right. The name Ruthless Ridge was fitting for what went on during a Peak 2 race event today. Competitors were using everything, including their fists, to score a win. The riding was spectacular, and so were the wipeouts. And there were a lot of wipeouts. It was certainly ruthless today out on Peak 2's Ruthless Ridge. A race event, if you can call it that, was what was supposed to happen. Instead, it was a board-cruising grudge match against some of the most talented riders around. Pretty cool. There was a race event up on Peak 2 today, Ruthless Ridge to be exact. Powder Pete checked it out, and in his words, it was total carnage out there. I just hope the SSX riders remember the big mountain deal. No one goes home mad. Hurt maybe, you know, but not mad. This ain't golf, you know what I'm saying? There's some head-slapping, nose-popping, right hook happening action going up on Peak 2's Intimidator earlier today. I guess there's nothing wrong with a little good-natured scrapping during a race, unless, of course, you happen to be in the race. Play nice, people. A little shout-out to those living large and getting the exec service into the backcountry run happiness. I'm talking heli riding, of course. That once-in-a-lifetime experience every boarder dreams about. These luckier-than-lucky riders are ripping on their session and making their way to Green Bay Station. Well, hopefully, I seem to recall an avalanche warning for that run. Checking Peak 1's Backcountry Mountain Cam, I got a few of the accelerated cool making their way through the deep stuff of happiness during this kind of backcountry ride. One with an avalanche warning, you gotta wonder where their brains are gonna be, ready to rock on or shaking like a baby. Knowing how the SSX boys and girls play, it's gonna be full-blown. For the SSX fans down at Green Bay Station, I was watching some event riders carving their way down to you right now from Peak 1's happiness. Trust me, they won't be hard to miss with the goofy grins and powder-caked faces. Let me know who makes it in one piece, would you? Apparently someone accidentally nailed one of our mountain cams. Or it could have been that avalanche the ski patrol were talking about. Maybe. Just got word some competitors were dropped off into the backcountry up on Peak 2 on Ruthless, I believe. You know, that's got a nice ring to it. Dropped off into the backcountry. The life of an SSX pro. Anywho, they'll be joining the rest of you mere mortals down at the mid-station any sec now. Keep your eyes peeled to where they're off to next. If you're down at Peak 2's red mid-station right now and you're wondering where the SSX riders are, just look up. Currently, they're enjoying that full stoke powder feeling on Ruthless, courtesy of the SSX Osprey delivery service. Kind of makes you wish you'd followed through on that dream of being a pro, doesn't it? Just when you think being a snowboard pro couldn't get any better, it does. Just heard an Osprey dropped off some riders into Peak 2's Ruthless, and from what I've seen with the mountain cams, it's in a sweet state of powder perfection. They'll be bombing their way down into red mid-station soon enough, where mass chaos will ensue, I'm sure. Coolio. Get this, people. Despite the storms, the avalanches, and, everything else that makes Peak 3 a force to be reckoned with, apparently some SSX3 competitors are out on the throne living it up backcountry style. With luck, they'll be arriving at the Black Peak Lodge soon to tell you exactly how good it was. Hey, for any of those hanging around Peak 3, once there's a break in the storm, check out what's going on up on the throne. Seems a few of the SSX guys and gals are out there ripping it up the only way they can. Completely. No events, no crowds, just snow, baby. The way it should be. Ever wanted to know how the other half lives? Well, here it is. Get an Osprey, pack it with your pals, have it drop you off on Peak 3's most insane backcountry, the Throne, and then carve it up as much as you want. That's how the SSX crew does it, and believe me, they do it well. Here's some info for those of you new to Big Mountain. As the SSX circuit gets underway, the place is, once again, filling up with sponsors, fans, media, and competitors. Be advised, tourists, this means nothing is open any earlier around here. That's just not how we work. Here's a bit of past mountain trivia for those listening. Big Mountain was once the host of the World Suitcase Sliding Championships, Winter Edition, 3 years running. Prestigious, difficult, heroic. I love this place. And now for some mountain happenings. Tourists are urged to check out the Museum of Natural Ski Bumming History. Patrons are reminded that hours of operation are subject to change depending on heavy snowfall and/or, certain house parties. There's even a section on winter DJs. And I got a little past mountain info for you here. Prior to the SSX circuit, the biggest thing to hit town was the infamous Electric Bohemian Snowboard Festival. Sponsored by Missile Man Eyewear, the festival boasted only one event, the Three-Peak Downhill of Doom. The glory days of mountain life, eh? Here's some background on our alpine home. Big Mountain has always boasted little or no crime. Studies have shown residents are too busy dealing with cougars, avalanches, blizzards, and are generally too tired from riding 3 peaks and shoveling their driveway every morning. It is a good life up here, isn't it? Time for a mountain flashback. 10 years ago, this weekend, we began the annual ski burn. Once again, the tradition continues. The burn creates good vibe mojo, so keep in mind, it's a ski burn, not a skier burn. It brings home legendary weather and sweet snow, not legal troubles. Some history for those of you new to town. Often referred to as a one-of-a-kind and a natural phenomenon, our mountain averages 362 days of powder a year. The other 3 days are broken down to 1 day of rain, 1 day of hail, and 1 day without any fresh snow at all. A day without fresh snow. Wow, we lose about half our residents on that day. Here's a little Radio Big clarification for some of you. SSX competitors will be traveling to their events by Osprey or gondola this year. Everyday wannabes are still gonna have to wait in the lift line, just like always. Here's some history for those of you new to town. Other than the 3 avalanches that wiped out our happy home over the years, there were some other disasters as well. 9 years ago, an annual ski burn got a little out of hand and, burned half the town down. Powder Pete crashed his first Osprey into the local power plant, causing most of the town to go without electricity, and also a particularly nasty mountain bike incident flooded the town. But enjoy your stay. Here's a bit of mountain info for you. A government research institute sent a group of scientists out to Big Mountain to tackle a particular problem: goggle tans. The scientists created creams that caused even tans, as well as goggles where UV seeped in to do away with harsh lines. The one thing they didn't do? Figure out what everyone knows. Living in the mountains is cool, and so are goggle tans. Morons. Here's a little bit of mountain trivia. The Day Shack nightclub was actually once a snowboard bum's apartment. The owner used to keep the front door unlocked, trusting everyone and anyone in town to drop by for, some burritos, a little wax up, some comic books, and occasionally some music. As more people began to show up, the party grew to include the downstairs, and the day Shack was born. Swing by, check it out. Some interesting local info for those of you new to town. How much snow do we get here in our happy little alpine home? Well, we average 1 canceled school day due to heavy snow for every 5. Who knew school could be so fun? Sign me up, baby. All right, here's some very important local info. Visitors should know that it's absolutely illegal within village limits to stop, make late, or even get in the way of a local on his or her way up the mountain during a snow dump. And if it's not, well, it should be. All right, some insight for those of you new to town. As stunning as Big Mountain is, and I'm sure there's few places on this planet that might compare, this nasty mother can get pretty frightening when she wants to, a fact that one or more competitors or some boneheaded tourists might find out soon. All right, a little known fact to some of our more recent visitors. The Big Mountain Village has been completely wiped out not once, not twice, but an amazing 3 times by avalanches. Some people just never learn. Well, enjoy your stay. Here's some Radio Big perspective. Up here, there's 3 peaks. That means 3 times the fun, the elevation, the snow, and 3,000 times the danger of where you live. SSX Big Mountain. You gotta love it. Here's some info you might find valuable. People new to town are advised to head on over to City Hall in the event your cargo's missing. It's most likely been buried, not stolen. So, stop calling me. All right, here's some info I'm sure some of you tourists may need. Since our town's snowplow driver enjoys plowing parked cars more than snow, visitors are advised to get themselves a snowmobile. Or hook up with someone who already does. A little town background some of you might be interested in. I've heard rumors that the mountain village was built on everything from a garbage dump to a ready-to-drop fault line. Some even say a covered-up UFO crash site. Well, that actually explains a lot of what goes on around here. Here's a little bit of mountain info for you. Big Mountain was once home to the first ever successful trial of a Mark IV avalanche rescue device. Other devices such as the Turbo Lung Snapper, the Alpha Brain Freer, and the infamous Last Resort Pull the Pin and Run rescue device were also tested here to less than spectacular results. You gotta love technology. It's all a progressive thing, A little more mountain background for you here. Big Mountain has a community center that offers weekly programs. The most popular is Living with a Ski Bum. It's designed for spouses, and it covers such areas as goggle tans are cool, duct taping your relationship, and she may love her board, but she really likes you. That's my favorite. Here's some mountain history. Community elections are held every 2 years, and a mayor is chosen by Big Mountain citizens. Over the years, participants have included a dishwasher, a dead guy, a convicted serial killer, and last year's almost winner, an avalanche dog named Tiger. Yep, just another slice of life in the mountains. All right, here's a little bit of mountain history for you. One of the first businesses to open in Big Mountain was not a hotel, a restaurant, or even a gas station. The honor of premier establishment goes to a hot sauce company. El Franco Loco Fire Sauce. Scorchingly fine. It also worked good as a lock de-icer. You should try some. Here's some history from our mountain town. The longest ever street hockey game was played right here 11 years ago. The world-renowned event happened right out near parking lot 4. And here's how it worked. A group of kids played to decide who had first rights to a local sled run. Now, the game was a tie, followed by 4 overtimes and an eventual 2-1 score. Interesting footnote, all of the kids were later grounded for missing dinner and bedtime. This day in mountain history, 10 years ago, without even checking the archives, I can pretty much tell you these facts. Some hotshot skier wore stretch pants and a snowboarder didn't. And Dangerous Dave was plowing snow and causing property damage. A lifty fell asleep on the job. A ski patroller didn't. And without a doubt, I am 100% certain about this one. 10 years ago today, it snowed. Crazy, hey? All right, it's time for a mountain flashback. The town's founder, S.M. Smiley, had a statue erected in his memory. Smiley was an adventurer, a visionary, and a passionate mountain man. He was also the first to climb Big Mountain and eventually name all the runs. The statue was blown up during the final night of the Electric Bohemian Snowboard Festival. I was there. It was very cool. It's time now for a moment in mountain history. For 2 days last year, Peak 3 was completely shut down due to a whiteout and heavy avalanches. 2 local boarders stuck in a snow cave for 5 days survived by using 1 match, a roll of toilet paper, 2 cans of shaken up cola, and the one piece of equipment every human facing death shouldn't be without: duct tape. Don't leave home without it. Time for some mountain info. Visitors coming to Big Mountain used to have one route, the High Alpine Highway, and most tourists opted not to drive their own vehicles due to the harsh conditions. An alternative was the Three Peaks Shuttle, run by local snowplow driver Dangerous Dave. I have fond memories of that bus. Uber tread tires, titanium roll bars, a shark mouth painted over the grill. They just don't make them like that anymore. Here's some mountain background for you. Local production company Frozen Films got their start by accident. Literally, cameraman Fisheye Rich was shooting a friend riding when Powder Pete crashed his 4th Osprey into a gondola tower. See, Rich took the footage, added a local garage band tune, sent it off to one of those boneheaded reality shows, took home first place. Frozen Films was born. Way to go, Pete. What's happening on our mountain today? Well, it seems event officials have asked that spectators, especially those who are fans of Allegra Sauvagesse, to please refrain from pelting the event judges with snowballs every time a low score is handed out. Nice. Here's some valuable info for those checking out some of our classier restaurants in town. Fine dining, okay? Fine dining does not mean showing up to dinner wearing new snowboard boots. Okay? We don't care how new they are. It does mean wearing something other than clothing that repels wind and snow. You are in the mountains now. You know, when in Rome. Checking in with current events, we got this little item of interest for you. Friday night's Lifty versus Dishwasher Snowball War will be happening at the stroke of midnight. No Man's Land will be the town square. It's not at the school baseball field, and it's not at Radio Big parking lot, as reported earlier. You got that? Not at the station's parking lot. Not at the station's parking lot. What's going on around town? Well, I'll tell you. The Three Peak Drive-In wants everyone to know that, regardless of the weather, they are open. Saturday's triple horror feature is Night of the Rabid Garden Gnomes, Attack of the Zombie Combat Nurses, and locally made Frozen Films feature Day of the Couch Surfers. Quality entertainment, people. Here's a traffic update for you. Motorists are urged to drive with care through the local intersections. Local youth have been known to bomb through intersections on a variety of human-propelled sledding devices with little or no warning at all. They're not the brightest kids on the block, but, hey, at least they're having fun. Here's some after-hours info for those of you heading into town. For some reason, on Monday nights, the Day Shack is featuring karaoke. Tourists are encouraged to check out all the local losers belting out a variety of truly tragic 80s tunes. Even here in the pristine mountains, our lives are tainted by karaoke. Someone, please, make it stop! Here's the latest in mountain info. Shop owners would like to remind tourists that ski in, ski out is not to be taken literally. Please take your skis off at the door before going shopping. You know, you gotta wonder, do skiers leave their brains at home while on vacation? I kind of think they do. You know, it's like invasion of the brainless zombie tourists around here sometimes, honestly. Here's an update to some earlier news. Initial reports of competitors jumping ahead in lift lines has now been corrected to competitors jumping over lift lines. Well, you know, that's pretty much to be expected, I think. Time for a local news update. Some of you tourists might not be aware of some of the more silly town bylaws we have here at Big Mountain, but there is to be no hacky sacking permitted in the downtown area. No dogs allowed on Main Street without a leash. Snowmobiles are not allowed on town roads. And bongo playing is outlawed year-round. Well, actually, you know, I never really understood bongo players. Thinking everyone within 6 miles wants to hear the same 3 beats over and over and over and over again. That one can stay, I guess. Here's the latest in mountain news. City Council is again issuing a request to locals to please stop riding the rails of every staircase in town, and also to refrain from gap-jumping local bus routes. Just another, friendly civic reminder. This Mountain Bulletin just in. Local Big Mountain businesses are being advised on the new no-work policy going into effect tomorrow. 1 foot of fresh powder equals 2 hours of employee no-show. Radio Big wants everyone to remember, you didn't come here to work. Here's the latest in mountain news. Local authorities are still puzzled by the theft of 14 gallons of mustard late last night from a local restaurant. Council has expressed their concern and are preparing, pardon the pun, for a worst-case scenario. Here's a heads up for tourists and others that aren't in the know. Seems tonight's midnight lifty versus dishwasher parking lot hockey game is a go, baby. Do yourself a favor. Get your cars out of the way now. Here's some mountain news we're following. There's a big sponsor party up on Peak 2 tonight. Security is tight, but I have it on good authority that a local's covert insertion plan is in the works. Keep your ears peeled for more developments. And this report just in, we have a request here from the person or persons who abducted the surf swan from last night's staff housing party to return it promptly, please. No questions will be asked. And this report just in, we have a request here for the person or persons who abducted the surf swan from last night's staff housing party to return it promptly, please. This is not a joke. We take our swan very seriously. This just in, the manager of Three Peaks Bar and Grill is asking the owners of the 2 snowmobiles and badly beaten piñata left parked in their kitchen last night to come and remove them. As usual with such events in our alpine town, no questions will be asked. Here's a mountain news update. Thursdays are Dog Day up on Peak 2. Riders are asked to pick up their Pooch's lift ticket at the gondola station early. And for those cat owners out there, no plans as of yet. Mountains are made for dogs, all right? You got a cat? You know, go live in a field or something. Go find a cave. I don't know. Time now for some local news. Reports are flooding in of SSX competitors rampaging around town. Seems they're doing everything from sliding hotel rails to freeing pets from the local pound. It's complete chaos up here, you know? I love when the circuit comes to town. Here's a breaking story. Seems that it's that time of year again. Reports are coming in fast and furious that, yes, the dreaded snow snakes are back. Riders are to use extreme caution, especially tourists. Checking in with current events, we got this. The Mountain Film Festival this year kicks off with a torchlight parade down Peak 1. Festival organizers Frozen Films are asking that torchbearers use safety flares, not propane-powered flamethrowers like last year. Oh, yeah, I know, safety first. But, you know, when that propane tank exploded last year, you just can't create that kind of humor. And now for some breaking news. Apparently, not one, not two, but an awe-inspiring busload of out-of-state cheerleaders just pulled into the Big Mountain Hotel. This is important for many reasons, primarily being the fact that the decade-long ratio of 8 guys to every girl has just ended, baby. We will honor this great occasion by ending our broadcast early tonight. Here's a Big Mountain Arts report. Local author and sometime Frozen film scriptwriter Buford Summers is releasing his latest book, Invasion of the Brain-Numbing Tourists. This sure-to-be bestseller covers the yearly migration of tourists, their eating habits, and a whole chapter on secondary names. Let's see, there's Gorby, Gorbatrons, Wallies, Blimps, and, oh yeah, my personal favorite, Tourons. It's time now for some community news. The local grocery stores reported their standard and emergency concentrated yeast spread supply has run out. Knowing this only really affects Aussies, and since everyone in town has an Aussie on their couch somehow, health officials are warning of widespread hallucination, panic attacks, and all-around erratic behavior. Pretty much, you know, business as usual, really. And now for a local news update. The Lifty versus Dishwasher Winter Face-Off continues with the Lifty-sponsored gondola hopping obstacle course. Competitors will be hopping gondolas as they pass each other, all the while collecting small silver coins, assorted vegetables, and some useful tools. Since the event happens tonight in a blizzard, the entertainment looks to be promising. Gondola hopping. Yeah, I love this place. Here's the latest in mountain info. This week sees one of the more interesting of the Lifty versus Dishwasher winter face-offs. The competition may sound simple. It's a skate competition at the local skateboard park. But as I'm sure most of our listeners are already aware, nothing is simple in Big Mountain. The park is covered in ice. It's at night, and the skaters are towed in by a snowmobile. Don't miss this. This just in. Neighboring Imperial Peak Resort is going to continue its ban of snowboarding. Resort officials said Imperial's soulless corporate bosses decided, you know, there was no real gain in having riders around, you know? No real gain in having them around. In addition, skateboarding within the resort's town limits is also banned during the summer months, but rollerblading is encouraged. Well, you know, why don't you just ban fun altogether, you know what I mean? Or good times, you know? Good times are now illegal. Or better yet, just make being cool illegal, you know? In local news, seems reports are still coming in of vehicle owners expressing anger and dismay towards longtime city worker Dangerous Dave. This is, of course, concerning last night's snowplow rampage through parking lot 2. This just in, Rob and Bob's board shop will be opening late today for a variety of reasons. It seems Rob's car was damaged last night in parking lot 2 due to a snowplow mishap, and Bob's still out riding. The shop is opening late again. What's new? Here's a breaking story. Drivers are to use caution as apparently an aircraft has made an emergency landing outside Eva's Coffee Hut up on the Alpine Highway. For locals in the know, that just means Powder Pete's parking his Osprey while he gets a latte. It's a triple shot, lots of sugar. On the house. This just in. Once again, it seems Big T's snowmobile has broken down somewhere up on Peak 3's service road. Can someone, anyone, do a ride-by, maybe pick him up? You know, before nightfall, if it's all possible, but, you know, don't put yourself out. I just got a call from one of our listeners, a Mr. Chuck Clark. Yeah, Mr. Chuck Clark he's asking that the local children please refrain from throwing rocks at his house. Chuck's home is, of course, better known as the Hubcap House. Seems the rocks are making it hard to sleep. And, quote, keeping the llamas in the basement restless. Here's the latest in mountain news. It seems Dangerous Dave's recent wave of late-night destruction didn't end with just parked cars. What he thought was a pretty darn big ice puddle turned out to be Russell Memorial Arena. Sorry, Dave. All hockey games are canceled until further notice. And now for an update to one of our earlier stories. It seems the orange cat incident, I assume you all know about this by now. The orange cat incident is not over. Sightings of the feline around town have been confirmed. City Council wants citizens to know they are moving quickly, but are advising parents to keep their children indoors for the time being. This must be one heck of a cat, man. This just in, I don't know if you heard about this, the orange cat incident reported earlier. This has come to an abrupt end for those of you following this story. Both the homeowner, Mr. Ross, and the cat itself were unharmed. However, significant property damage has been reported. This just in, the proposed Big Mountain Airport development plan has officially been shelved, people. A council press release states the plan was not cost-effective. Sources inside City Hall say the airport idea was scrapped when it was discovered Dangerous Dave would be responsible for runway snow removal. Dave, snow, and airplanes, yeah. There's a reason why they call him dangerous. Here's a Big Mountain Arts report. Seems the Day Shack is pulling out all the stops during the SSX circuit. Saturday night, they're holding auditions for the position of cage dancer. Go-go wannabes will have to shake their stuff in one-on-one dance-offs, express their knowledge of martial arts, and compete in a go-go capture the flag. Once again, I will be returning as chief judge. And now for some breaking news. It seems the orange cat... I'm getting sick of this story. The orange cat, reported earlier being the cause of a major public disruption and later escaping from animal services, has finally been found. Actually, I think cornered is a better term. The authorities have called in local bagpiper Rory McKenzie to deal with the crazed feline. That's how we deal with things up here, with bagpipes. Here's a little insight for those of you new to town. The reason the locals have no time for tourists... I'll tell you. You wondering? I'll tell you what it is. It's this. Stupid questions. Okay, and here's an example from some of my favorites. What time is it on top of the mountain? Or, where do you put the moguls in the summer? And one of my all-time winners. How do you keep the snow so white? Use your brain, people. You do have them, don't you? Here's some local news just in. Snowboard shop owners Rob and Bob have once again called to say they'll be opening once the powder's all tracked out. Those listeners who want their boards back from the shop are advised to, I don't know, try to get some rentals or something. Here's something for all you loony snow bikers. Radio Big wants to remind those entering JB's weekly mountain bike night ride that helmets are to be worn when cycling in town. Wearing a helmet while riding a bike on ice. Go figure. Here's some breaking local news. Rob and Bob's board shop wants everyone to know that when they are open, due to the heavy snowfall in the last few days, you just gonna have to slide on down the snowbank to get in there. They're offering 10% off if you can make it, though. All right, time now for some local news. Local high school officials are still seeking a replacement for geography teacher Mr. Morrison. Preferably one who won't be skipping his or her classes every snowfall. Yeah, lots of luck there. Here's a quick reminder to our listeners. Anyone wanting to send money to the Angry Phil Stolen Board Fund can do so via Radio Big. Just, slip some cash under my door. I'll take care of it for you. Thanks. Here's the latest local news. Recent reports on local Osprey pilot Powder Pete being suspended for buzzing the gondola have been confirmed as false. Seems he just got yelled at a lot. Party on, Pete. This just in, I just received another call on LG, our favorite overzealous ski patroller. Seems once again she's ambushing riders, ducking the ropes on Peak 3. Just keep your eyes open, people. I'm telling you, this girl's a monster. And this is going out to anyone presently driving the High Alpine Highway today. Seems Big T's van has gone and broken down again. Can someone pick him up before nightfall this time? Here's a Big Mountain Entertainment update. The Day Shack is where it's at tonight with 3 DJs throwing it down in a Shaolin Monk DJ deathmatch. Come check it out. Local spinners MC Queen, Little Cammy Carvalot, and SSX superstar Mac Fraser. You know, you can never have enough DJ deathmatches. You know what I mean? Time now for a community announcement. The ballet ski team is having their annual garage sale to raise money for next year's gear. Items for sale include secondhand skis, neon toques, stretch pants, rollerblade parts, furniture, and a lot of really cool out-of-state license plates. Get a life, people. I mean, come on. Here's a Big Mountain Arts report. Local legend Nick the Duke Lloyd will be giving a slideshow presentation tonight on last year's failed high alpine avalanche surfing expedition. Like all the Duke's slideshows, this one promises to be scored by his sitar-playing Sherpa manservant, Carlo. Things will be going pretty quick over there, I guess. This just in, the guys at Frozen Films called. Anyone wanting extra work in the flick Rise of the Dirtbags should show up at Parking Lot 3 tomorrow for 8 a.m. Sorry. They're asking for people who aren't afraid of snowmobiles, don't mind lying on their backs for a while, and have insurance. Lunch will be provided. Here's the latest in some local news. Starting Monday, there's a boycott on Eva's Coffee Hut in the works. The boycott is being spearheaded by a group of disgruntled patrons upset over a recent washroom for paying customers only sign. Owner Eva was quoted as saying, "Whatever, $1.50 for a coffee, deal with it." Here's a request from one of our listeners. Local snowmobile mechanic Rockin' Riley called in to say that he lost a contact up on Peak 2. And he wants anyone riding around Tower 6 to keep an eye out. Yeah, sure thing, Riley. Yeah, but do us all a favor, start wearing your helmet when you're pulling inverts in the park. Here's a little insight for some of our newer riders. The way it works in most ski towns, ours included, is to put something before a local's name that is instantly recognizable. Belgium Mike, Dangerous Dave, or, maybe their dog's name or primary mode of transportation. It's all part of living in the mountains. This is DJ Atomika. All right, here's a Radio Big rant. Anyone notice how Rob and Bob's board shop never opens the night after a big snowfall? Is it just me? You ever notice how they got the majority of the town's boards in there for tuning, repairs, or a wax up? Is it me, or is there some kind of connection here? Oh, well, yeah, Rob and Bob's board shop, they do more before 11 p.m. than most people do at breakfast. All right, now for some local news. Well, it's that time of year again. It's time for the psychos that run Frozen Films to hold their annual Mountain Film Festival. Titles being shown this year are Rage Against the Machine, Lifties at Work, Rise of the Monoboarders, and a third installment of the ever-popular Fleece of Doom series. Prizes are some vintage 80s toques and some used wax. Admission by gear donation. I'll be there. Time now for a local news update. Big Mountain Community Center will be starting their yoga classes again soon. Newcomers be cautioned. These yoga classes are actually graded as, get this, extreme Scottish yoga. This particular yoga requires helmets, padding, mouth guards, and is run by an instructor by the name of Jock Bend It Backwards Brewster. Be careful, kids. You heard it here first. Here's some mountain info for those of you out riding today. Reports in from Peak 1's high alpine state that avalanche conditions have moved into the extreme. Riders are requested to use caution when venturing out into the backcountry. Time now for a mountain update. Things are getting interesting in the Three Peaks backcountry. Continuous heavy snowfalls have left borders drooling, but avalanche conditions deadly. You want a word of advice? check it out before dropping in. This place takes no prisoners. Okay, here's what's happening on the mountain. Conditions on the third peak are looking pretty fine. But keep in mind, although the backcountry is full of the untracked, it's unstable and prone to surprises. You know, surprises like avalanches and whiteouts, need I say more. Here's the latest in mountain info. Ski Patrol are issuing a high alpine warning to those venturing out into the backcountry. Boys and girls, do yourselves a favor and familiarize yourself with the buddy system. It's always better to have company when facing extreme danger. That'll be all. Carry on. Some terrain news for those heading out. Just got a call from Powder Pete on his latest flyby of Peak 3. He spotted some great-looking chutes dropping onto tons of pillows, baby. Although Pete can't be trusted not to crash an Osprey at least once a season, they don't call him Powder Pete for nothing. This mountain update just in. Recent slides in Peak 3's backcountry have opened up some fresh terrain. Things are looking mighty fine for those willing to take the risk and hike on out. I always find the snow sweeter when you have to work for it. Time now for a mountain update. I won't bore you all with all the details, but basically just get out there and ride. Trust me, it snowed all night. That means miles of untracked powder just begging to be carved up. Whatever you're doing, drop it. Wherever you're working, leave. Ride, people. Ride. Time now for a mountain update. Seems management's yanking lift passes as reports drift in of competitors and freeriders alike venturing into Peak 1's out-of-bounds area. If you're ducking ropes, watch your back. Here's the latest update on mountain conditions. Walking home from the day shack last night, I saw some pretty fat snowflakes, and that means lots of pow past the ropes, perfectly groomed snow on the cruisers, and tons of padding in the park. Sounds like a perfect day to me. If I was up there. You can check it out. All right, this just in, the latest mountain update. Last night's storm was something fierce, and damage has been reported to some of Three Peaks gondolas. Now, damage, for all of you who don't know, means harsh conditions. Harsh conditions means a lot of snow. And, you know, I got an inside scoop that Ski Patrol are done with avalanche control early. This is gonna be epic. Here's the latest mountain update. Heavy winds and a beauty dump of the fresh stuff last night left some wicked surprises for those riding today. Wind lips are out in full force for anyone who wants to go blasting through them. Man, I love doing that. Full-on face shots, full-on glory. You know what I'm saying? Time for the mountain's latest. I managed to catch Dawn Patrol this morning. Gotta tell you, it's conditions like this, fast, soft, untracked, that make me wonder if I'll ever leave this place. Do yourself a favor, get on up here. It'll remind you why you came. Here's the latest in mountain info. Due to last night's heavy snowfall, avalanche conditions have moved into the extreme. Ski Patrol is asking all riders to use caution. Here's the latest mountain update. Snow conditions and visibility are being rated as excellent on Peak 1 today. Riders are advised to check in as conditions in the backcountry are always changing. All right, here's what's happening on the mountain. Recent heavy snowfalls have left Peak 1 in great shape today, but avalanche warnings are still in the red, so Ski Patrol is advising caution to those of you hitting the backcountry. It's time for a quick mountain update. Snow conditions are reported as being good to excellent by Ski Patrol today. Backcountry access is still limited, though, due to the likelihood of avalanches. Mountain management is urging caution. And now for today's mountain update. With recent heavy snowfalls giving Peak 1 a healthy dusting of snow, Ski Patrol are reminding people of the high avalanche probability in the out-of-bounds area. This mountain update just in. Although conditions on Peak 1 are ranging from good to excellent, last night's snowfall has left the snowpack, especially in the out-of-bounds areas, unstable. Riders are urged to be aware and not to venture out alone. Time now for a mountain update. Peak 1 reports coming in state snowpack conditions are rated excellent due to last night's heavy snowfall. Ski Patrol wants everyone to know the avalanche warning has moved to high. All right, here's some good news for all those heading out riding. Although the snowpack for Peak 1's backcountry is being reported as unstable, conditions on marked runs are listed as excellent. Here's the latest info on mountain conditions. Heavy snowfalls last night on the Three Peaks have left conditions rated as excelente. Small crowds, clear skies, fresh powder. It is all happening up in the high alpine. Grab your board and get to it. Just in, the latest mountain update. Last night's stormy conditions are done, and clear skies with mild winds are returning to Peak 3. Riders are encouraged to use caution in the backcountry with all that extra snow. Riders are also encouraged to have a good time in the backcountry with all that extra snow. Here's what's happening on our mountain today. All Three Peaks are looking in excellent shape after last night's storm battered them senseless. As the town digs itself out once again, riders are enjoying clear skies, mild temperatures, and face shots aplenty. This place just keeps getting better and better. Here's the latest on some mountain conditions. Snow? Tons. Wind? None. Sun? Crowds? Not very many. Me? Working. Not for long. See you soon. Time now for a mountain update. The backcountry is in wicked condition right now, folks. Tons of snow over the last few nights have left endless miles of untracked goodness up there. Now, I know everyone's going to be charging up there full swing. Just do us all a favor. Watch your step, people. Here's the latest in mountain info. Conditions on all 3 peaks are sounding pretty fine from what I'm hearing. Ski Patrol have got things running smoothly and the snow is fresh. Even though there are those of us who take this sort of thing for granted, get out there and enjoy it. Go on. Drop what you're doing. Go on. Go. Now. Get up. Good. Some terrain news for those heading out riding. The world's nastiest ski patrol just called in to say that things are looking great up on Peak 3. Right before her, Powder Pete called to say Peak 2 is looking pretty awesome from his cockpit. And, as usual, Rob and Bob called down from Peak 1. It's perfect. What more do you need? This mountain update just in. Last night's heavy snowfall caused some pretty massive slides up around Peak 1. The beauty of an avalanche? The go-ahead to rock on through the powder. If you don't, I will. Here's what's happening on the mountain. Peak 2's backcountry is just screaming for someone to get up there and carve it up. Who is it going to be? Is it you? Could be me. It's also screaming for a bone-crushing avalanche. Makes for an interesting day, don't you think? Time now for a mountain update. I could tell you about all the updates, the powder tips, the phone calls, and the woos echoing down from Peak 3, or, if you were smart, you could just get your butt up there and have yourself a bit of fun. Or, you could come down here and talk on the radio and I'll go riding. Here's the latest weather update. All 3 peaks today will be experiencing clear skies, some mild winds, and mid-range temperatures. Perfect conditions for those of us lucky enough to be heading out riding. This weather update just in. Dig out the snorkels, people, because last night's epic dump of the fresh stuff left our 3 peaks with more than enough powder to go around. The news just keeps getting better as another heavy snowfall is forecast for tonight. Get out there and rip it up. Time for Radio Big Weather. There's a storm warning in effect tonight for all 3 peaks. Apparently some sort of extreme cold front mixed in with turbo high pressure and rocket-propelled precipitation combined with the Earth's axis means... Wow, I need to take a large breath there. Clear skies during the day, lots of snow at night. That's all you need to know. Here's the latest in weather. The SSX event organizers are breathing a sigh of relief as last night's storm caused minimal damage to the 3 peak courses. Track workers spent the better part of the morning digging out the big air hits and emptying the super pipes. When is too much snow too much snow? Time for the latest weather developments. Riders are urged to get on up to Peak 2 as a big-time snowstorm just blew itself out and left behind a sweet and tasty helping of powder. Clouds are long gone and the sun is out. Sounds like prime conditions. Go, go, go! Now for a quick weather update. The storm that has been battering Peak 2 all night and most of the morning seems to be coming to an end. Reports are coming in of a blue sky breaking through and visibility is returning to normal. Word is Ski Patrol are opening up closed runs and things are looking promising. Check it out. Time for today's weather. I got a call from some snowcat drivers over on Peak 2. Last night's snowfall left some great powder stashes waiting for those in the know. Lots of untracked spots are still waiting to get carved up. Get on out there and make me proud, kids. And now for today's weather. Once again, it seems our slopes are to be graced with some picture-perfect conditions. And after last night's exceptionally heavy snowfall, a few feet of the fresh stuff to boot. It's funny how that always seems to happen. Time now for a spot of weather. Anyone looking for some prime pow should haul butt over to Peak 3 backcountry. Lifty TG gave me a shout out on her cell saying the winds have died down and I could barely hear her since she was up to her neck in the fluffy stuff. You better get on over there. Now for today's weather. Heavy rains are the call for today with freezing temperatures this afternoon lasting throughout the week. The wind is reportedly unbearable on all 3 peaks. You hear that, tourists? I guess you should leave now, okay? See ya. Bye. Here's the latest big mountain weather. The heavy snowfall we've been experiencing for the last while shows no sign of letting up. Snow depth on Peak 3 has almost reached a record level set way back in 1925. Yep, even then there was some maniac out here tearing it up. Go on, get up there. It's your turn. This weather update just in. This morning's storm has pretty much died out on Peak 2 and 3. A little bit of fog left over on Peak 1. Lifties up on Peak 3 are digging out the top lift shack, and then you know they're going to be tearing it up through the fresh stuff. Go on out there right now, and you might just beat them to it. Time now for mountain weather. Apparently, from what I'm hearing, the wind is causing mass chaos up on Peak 3. The latest reports coming in have event structures getting knocked down and billboards falling over. It makes you wonder how sweet the backcountry probably is right now, huh? Yeah? You know what I'm talking about? Here's the latest developments with the weather. This is the kind of report that sends the tourists packing and the posers indoors, okay? Along with some excellent sounding avalanches and wind that's busting stuff up, Peak 3 is sounding pretty darn good right now. Anyone heading up there, you better be prepared. Some weather info for those lucky enough to be heading out today. Mild temperatures mixed with clear skies, 0% chance of precipitation, and no wind means, wait for it, perfect conditions. Big surprise there. What can you do but enjoy it? This weather update just in. Peak 1 will be experiencing bouts of blue sky, no wind, no rain, and prime untracked powder fresh from last night. I'm willing to bet tomorrow's conditions will be fairly similar. What is a guy to do but ride? Time for a weather update. I'm happy to report yesterday's conditions will be carrying through most of today. Actually, all of today. Riders can expect excellent visibility with mild winds in the low, mid, and high alpine. Of course, this will carry through to tomorrow. Here's the latest big mountain weather. Conditions are going to be excellent for all SSX events happening around Peak 1 today. The forecast for the rest of the week calls for heavy snow at night and bluebird skies during the day. That's why we live here. It's weather you can count on. Now for a quick weather update. Forecasts call for smooth and clear with not a cloud in the sky. That's the way it happens up here, and that's the way we like it. Time for today's weather. Well, it doesn't get much better than what we have now. Clear skies, no wind, and perfect temperatures. I'm happy to say this will be with us for at least another week. All right, here's the latest weather update. Seems riders can look forward to a stretch of great weather over the next few weeks. Event organizers are particularly pleased as SSX is underway on all three peaks, baby. It's time for the latest weather developments. Riders have nothing but good weather to look forward to over the next little while. Forecasts show heavy snowfall over the next few nights, but clear skies during the day. It's almost like it's designed to be this good. Here's the latest in weather. Still a bit of cloud cover on Peak 2, but it looks as though it's going to burn off. This morning's cold snap is also on its way out, leaving behind conditions described best as excellent. Do yourselves a favor and get on up there. And now for today's weather. Although things are looking fine all over the three peaks, conditions are moving into the red zone as forecasts call for storm-like conditions tonight in the high alpine. Batten down the hatches and stick it out. Tomorrow is going to be epic. Here's the latest in mountain weather. Things are starting to get a bit nasty up on Peak 2. Reports are coming in of strong winds throwing riders around and apparently beating up on some of the trees up there too. Watch yourselves, people. This weather update just in. Peak 2 is experiencing the beginnings of a storm-like conditions. Fierce winds, occasional whiteouts, and everyone's favorite, avalanches. Nobody said Peak 2 is going to be easy. Dangerous, maybe, but never easy. Time for today's weather. Getting a couple of calls from the lifties up on Peak 2. Weather conditions are shifting into aggro mode and making life a bit difficult for riders up there. I'm still waiting to confirm avalanche reports, but rumor is things are getting wicked. Now for the latest weather update. Sounds like some pretty interesting things going on up Peak 2 way. Riders are urged to use caution as reports drift in of snowslides, avalanches, and whiteout conditions. Dangerous? Yes. Why we love to ride this place? Absolutely. Enjoy. Time for the latest weather developments. It's all happening on Peak 2. Trees falling over, blowing snow, avalanches, even reports of icicles falling. And we're not talking the kind of icicles, you and your girlfriend ooh and ah over hanging off your hotel deck. No, we're talking the big mountain kind. Time now for a Radio Big Weather update. Good news, I just received a storm warning from the weather office. To add to that, one of the lifties up on Peak 3 says she can see the clouds boiling on the horizon. You know what all that means. Overnight storm, big time freshes in the morning. Don't stay up too late. Now for today's weather forecast. Clear skies with little wind and mild temperatures. Things look a bit nastier this afternoon as we're talking possible whiteout conditions for Peak 2 and 3. Check back and I'll let you know when I know. Here's the latest weather for Big Mountain. Looks like tonight is going to be a good night to stay inside. A turbo storm is presently on its way, and by the time it gets here, it's going to be in kick butt mode. Get a good night's sleep. You're going to need it. Now for today's weather update. Peak 3, I think you've heard of that one. She's not in a very good mood right now. Riders are experiencing everything from major winds to avalanches, even a few new crevices being revealed. I don't know what all the whining's about. You know, this is why you do what you do. Now, zip up, clear your lenses, and get out there. Some weather reports we're following. Just got off the phone with Peak 3's ski patrol. Sounds a bit dangerous up there. There's been a few sightings of crevices and big ice chunks breaking away. That's never good, and wind's getting stronger by the second. But hey, at least the crowds are gone. Time for a mountain weather report. Lots of fresh powder up on Peak 3, and from what I hear, it's the sweet and tasty kind. Only thing you might want to think about is the insane wind, killer avalanches, and, oh yeah, there's big icicles hurling themselves at unsuspecting riders. Well, okay, maybe not hurling, but, you know, they're falling, definitely falling. All right, I just got word the SSX competitors are heading into Peak 1's Green Bay Station area. Things should be cranking up event-wise pretty quick, unless, of course, they stop off at the lodge for some new gear or go for a free ride. Must be nice, doing what you want, going where you please. Just checking the radio big cams, and it seems competitors are making their way over to the Green Bay Station. If you want to catch some legendary ripping, head over to the event areas. It's going to be hardcore competition or classic free riding, either way. If you want to see your favorite competitor up close, they may just be at the lodge gearing up. Me? Well, you know, I pretty much watch it all no matter what. Here's the latest. I saw anyone heading over to Peak 1's Green Bay Station right now. Once their competitors will either be picking their event or dropping the hype and taking in a bit of that free ride groove. Some may even stop off at the lodge to gear up. Regardless, I'll be watching it all from this little booth. My mountain cams are showing SSX riders heading over to Red Mid Station up on Peak 2. Whatever they choose, event, free ride, or a visit to the lodge, I guarantee it's gonna be fun. Fun like yesterday, you know, when Zoe threw Simon through the lodge's window? That's the best kind of fun. The SSX circuit action is definitely about to shift into high gear, people. Riders just finished dining on some tasty backcountry and are heading over to the Red Mid Station. If they're not in the lodge, they're throwing it down in an event or burning up the course with some free riding. Regardless, it's gonna get real good around here real quick. Man, I just watched some SSX competitors destroy a Peak 2 backcountry run. Now they're off to the Red Mid Station to either bust out event-wise or, you know, cruise it with some free riding. If you want to get a little FaceTime with the riders, some might be over at the lodge gearing up. Either way, not a bad way to spend some mountain time. Throughout the circuit, and I have been watching it all, the good, the bad, and the downright painful. Checking in with Peak 3's mountain cam, well, what can I say? Spectators and competitors alike are going to be facing some serious elemental happenings, if you know what I'm saying. Remember, riding is always better when you're tuned to Radio Big. It's the biggest snowboard event of the decade on the biggest mountain around. SSX moves to Peak 3, and the level of competition moves to the stratosphere. Due to the ever-changing weather, though, event organizers are warning spectators, attend at your own risk. Man, you gotta love a sport where spectators run a risk just watching it. You know what I'm saying? Simply put, Peak 3 is where it's at. As the SSX circuit moves into its final leg, the best has definitely been saved for last. Conditions at the top are being called brutal, intense, and more than just a little bit hectic. In other words, perfect. Stay with me as always, just an MCOM connection away. Here's something if you're keeping up with event news. Competitors will be racing through the fog and sampling some of the goods on Snow Jam today. Make sure you and yours make tracks up to Peak 1 and check it all out. What's new on the circuit today? Peak 1's Crow's Nest is where SSX competitors will be facing off in a short but sweet big air event. A lot of world-class talent's going to be hucking it up huge. Don't miss out. For those following the SSX circuit, the Big Air Comp is happening up on one of my favorite runs today. Crow's Nest, the place where riders will be flying for gold. Drop on up and check out the talent. Here's the latest in SSX coverage. It's all happening tonight over on Peak 1 with competitors throwing it large through Dysfunction Junction Superpipe. Spectators are urged to get there early, boy, as considerable buzz around this event promises big crowds. Here's the latest SSX developments. Bit of urban action happening all over Dysfunction Junction tonight as the Superpipe Comp continues throughout the snowed-in streets. Trust me, when I say an event in that place, promises to be interesting. This just in, spectators are encouraged to get over to Dysfunction Junction early tonight. Superpipe events always draw a huge crowd, and no one wants to miss out by being in the nosebleeds. Here's something for SSX fans. It's Peak 2's Ruthless Ridge. There's an unlikely place for a race. But hey, as we've already seen, this SSX circuit isn't pulling any punches. Be interesting to see how our competitors deal with some of those cliffs. In the latest SSX event news, trees and patches of fog are what riders have to look forward to today as the circuit continues onto the Snow Jam racecourse. All right, this just in. Seems launch time is where the big air comp is happening today. With a few different routes to choose from, no one knows what the competitors are going to be pulling out of their trick bags. Have a look-see and let me know who takes it. Here's the circuit's latest. The walls of Schizophrenia's super pipe up on Peak 2. They aren't just big. They're huge, baby. The pipe snakes in on itself, meaning this isn't just going to be an event. This is going to be a fight. Don't go missing out on this one-of-a-kind competition. Got some SSX going-ons for you now. If you're in the mood for some serious pipe performance, and really, you know, when are we not? Then head over to Schizophrenia for the Super Pipe competition happening today. The latest circuit happenings today have the Super Pipe happening on Schizophrenia. SSX competitors will be throwing it stylish as they compete for the goal and ultimate bragging rights. Don't miss out on this one. Here's the latest circuit news. What do you call a run that's got ice all over, crevices, and tons of hits? Personally, I call it entertainment. Riders call it a race on gravitude. To know it is to fear it. Have fun, people. Here's the latest SSX news. Circuit continues to heat up with race action on gravitude today. Super steepness means sound-busting speed. Man, these races won't be lasting long, you know what I'm saying? So get on up there. What's going on with the SSX circuit? How about some tight turns through heavy forests and a track winding its way over, under, and around some of the biggest trees on Peak 1? The track is Snow Jam. The event is racing. There's something for SSX fans tonight. Race action can be found happening on Peak 1's Metro City Breakdown. The course makes its way through the streets, over buildings, and yes, even through a subway shortcut. Be sure to check it out. In SSX news, seems all areas of the city's Metro City Breakdown are open to the competitors tonight. Race fans can catch riders bombing the streets and taking on some pretty unique shortcuts to try and nail that elusive gold. It's all about the urban flavor tonight as SSX competitors will be racing through the streets, the alleys, and shortcuts of Peak 1's Metro City Breakdown. What's happening with the SSX circuit? Slopestyle is going full tilt today up on Peak 1's R&B. Spectators can check out the bevy of rails and quarter pipes that make this course so famous, and competitors so cautious. The latest circuit happenings today have a promising-looking slopestyle comp on R&B. This particular track is known for its mind-boggling variety of paths and hits. I gotta tell you, I love this kind of event. This is the kind where anything can happen. Checking in with the SSX circuit, seems R&B is the place to be for today's slopestyle action. Competitors will be dueling it out on tons of rails, hits, and a couple of nasty quarter pipes. Don't miss out. Here's the latest in circuit news. Although fairly short in length, Crow's Nest still manages to pack a punch. Today sees riders doing their thing and pulling out all the stops for the big quarter pipe finish. Definitely worth catching. Here's the latest in SSX news. It's complete and total edge-of-your-seat race action today up on Ruthless Ridge. The fact that anyone would actually want to race this nightmare course, it makes me definitely want to check it out. You know what I'm saying? This just in. If you're looking for cliffs, cycle rails, and corridors of butt-kicking rock, check out Ruthless Ridge. If you want to watch some poor slob try and race through it, check out today's race action. What's new at the circuit, you ask? Well, some race action happening up on Peak 2's Intimidator today. Race and Intimidator, I have a hard time believing that's an easy combination. Check it out. Here's the latest SSX news. Intimidator is where it's at. Gap jumps, tunnels, moguls, trees, a little bit of something for everyone. Catch the race action that's happening today. Now for a circuit update. Fans should head over to Intimidator today to catch the latest race action. If you're wondering where a good place to watch would be, my money's on the gap jumps. I'll see you there. Here's what's happening on the circuit. Anyone who's spent any time on Peak 2 knows the Style Mile. They know the shark fins. And you know the slopestyle comp is gonna be something else. Do yourself a favor, check it out. Things are looking pretty hot with the circuit today. The Style Mile is home to a slopestyle comp that could very well go down in the books as one of the best. I can't wait to see the spine hits. They're gonna be huge. Checking in with the latest circuit news, we have some slopestyle action happening on the Style Mile. If you're up that way, take a second. Cheer on those brave SSX lunatics. because they won't let you down. Time to check out what's happening in the circuit. The way I hear it, anyone brave enough to take on launch times harder routes will be rewarded with bigger hits than normal. I don't know if that's really what we'd call a reward particularly, but hey, well, maybe to somebody. Here's some news for SSX fans. The big air comp happening on launch time today has got a tasty quarter pipe at the end. Find yourself a good spot and catch what's sure to be some insane action. Now for a circuit update, Gravitude is where the race event is happening today. I wonder if the SSX competitors realize what they're getting themselves into. You know what I mean? Ice, steepness, a lot of crevices. Sounds like something you better check out. Time for some SSX news now. The Kicked Out. A slope style on this course means you better have your game face on. Kicked Out. Love that name. Sounds evil. Kind of scary. I'm going to enjoy this one, so check it out on Peak 3 today. Now for what's new in the circuit, Peak 3's Kicked Out is where competitors are throwing it down for the slope style. A run with the name Kicked Out, hey, you know this event isn't going to be tame. Let me know what happens, will you? Here's what's happening on the circuit. On a good day, when everything is just right, the majority of us can barely get through Kicked Out. You hear? Now I hear there's a slope style event happening there today. Nice. Check it out. All right, let's check in with some circuit news. A big air event on Peak 3's Much Too Much. You think these so-called event organizers have actually been up there? Big Air? It's kind of an understatement. It's more like monster, more like killer monster. It's like killer monster air, like really scary killer monster air from some monster, monster place. Just check it out. Here's the circuit's latest. The name says it all, baby. Much Too Much. Where else would you go to catch the latest big air action? I think it's safe to say it's going to be legendary, so don't miss it. The latest circuit going-ons are up on Peak 3's Much Too Much. This is not just a strange place to hold a big air competition, okay? This is an insane place to hold a big air competition. Do you ever get the feeling the organizers don't really like the competitors very much? You know what I mean? Much Too Much. Definitely be there for this one. Time now for a look at circuit news. Check out the Super Pipe Comp happening today on Perpendiculous. Way up on Peak 3. Check this one out if you got a Jones for some vertigo and some altitude sickness. All right, here's some circuit info for you now. Big time Super Pipe action is happening up on Peak 3's Perpendiculous. Good way to describe that place? You know, it's what all the other half pipes want to be when they grow up. This is going to be good. Time to check in with what's happening on the circuit. It's a bit of a trek, but definitely where the action is. Peak 3's Perpendiculous is where today's Super Pipe is being held. We're talking high alpine lunacy. Make sure you catch some of this. Okay, people, you know what the cool thing about freeriding Snow Jam is? No hype. You know what I mean? It's just the rider, the mountain, and, a few big challenges to keep it interesting. This is just what snowboarding is all about right here, people. Just found out some free riding is happening on a Peak 1 track. As far as I can tell, it's on Crow's Nest, the big air course. Sweet. I heard earlier there's some pretty funky big challenges on that ride. Should be interesting. Tell me if you have a hard time picturing this. Free riding your own super pipe with only a few big challenges to keep you company. Easy to picture? Sure. Making it happen? An entirely different thing. Unless you're a pro on Dysfunction Junction, of course. Nice. Freeriding Dysfunction Junction on Peak 1. If I get a crack at it, I guarantee you will be hearing about it for weeks. Of course, as it stands right now, I'm in this booth and an SSX pro is out there hitting it huge and nailing the big challenges. This is totally not fair. Man, why do I put up with this, honestly? A cool person will usually find a cool job, most likely, in a cool location, So an SSX pro who rides for a living gets to try big challenges and who free rides Dysfunction Junction at their pleasure. Must be, what do you call that? Uber cool, I guess? Great, now there's an Uber cool to go for. Happiness is one of those backcountry runs that just screams for a free ride. Do a few big challenges or not, it's a free ride, meaning it's free. After, of course, you buy some equipment, pay for a lift pass, pick up some food. Other than that, it's a free ride, I guess. Free riding a backcountry run named Happiness. Score a couple of big challenges along the way, or even do it again if you want. It is a good life up here either way, man. Unless, of course, you're trapped in a broadcast booth watching people board in all day. That's not that much fun. All right, just got some word there's some free riding going on over at Peak 1's Snow Jam. Fully laid out track without rules, limitations, or media. Definitely not going to get boring either. Scattered about are some pretty wicked big challenges. Okay, y'all, here's the latest. Big challenges can be found on Peak 1's Snow Jam. No crowds, no rules, no annoying media recording every second of every move you make. Must be nice having a fully laid out course to ride all by yourself. Lucky guys. Finally, the way it should be. Checking my mountain cams, it seems there's a bit of Metro City breakdown action going on. And now let me explain to you how this is. If you become a pro, you get some perks. If you become an SSX pro, you get whole courses to freeride. Not bad, huh? Freeriding Peak 1's Metro City breakdowns right up there with everything that's good in life. No worries, no stresses, no concerns about what's under your board, what's coming around the next turn, and you know what that next big challenge is? There are some of those too. We got a few calls here from spectators wondering exactly what a free ride is. Well, it's pretty straightforward. You find a track, say Peak 1's Metro City Breakdown, for example, toss in a few big challenges to keep it fun, get rid of everybody else, then ride, baby. In my opinion, the most fun on the mountain is when you get the chance to free ride. Right now, someone's doing that right up on R&B. Just think about it for a second. No cameras, no crowds, just a bit of FaceTime between you and the mountain. Ride, baby. That's pretty much the only thing on people's minds when they go free riding. R&B is a prime track for that. One of my faves, actually. And if you find the free riding a little bit too free, take on a big challenge or two. Free riding a big air track like Peak 1's Crow's Nest is like having a set of killer ramps in your backyard. That is, if your backyard has big challenges scattered throughout it and an elevation that reduces many men to tears. I've seen it. SSX perks never end, I'm telling you. A free ride session is happening over on Peak 1's Crow's Nest. Must be nice. It isn't enough being a pro in the world's coolest snowboard circuit. No, you get to ride alone when you want to. Oh, right, yeah, and there's a couple big challenges on it too. Free riding is the snowboard equivalent of soul surfing. Riding the backcountry track Happiness would then be the same as discovering and riding an isolated surf break, you know what I'm saying? So what would be the equivalent of Happiness's big challenges? Sharks? Running on hot sand? Broken glass? I don't know, something like that. All right, a little recap for those of you who missed out on the latest Snow Jam race. Tricks, okay? Big ol' F-16 pulling high G dogfight tricks. I've been around the SSX circuit since day one. That was one of the wildest rides I've ever seen, man. All right, the big air action up on Crow's Nest was what industry experts would call a milestone. As in, it set the bar for all tricks in the future, man. For us everyday board-loving simple folk, it was downright inspiring. Okay, for those of you just tuning in, the big air event over on Crow's Nest just wrapped up, and if you missed it, you missed the hands-down best display of tricks I think that I've probably ever seen. I don't think these riders are actually human. I got a feeling. Tonight's superpipe action came straight from Dysfunction Junction. Competitors were hitting the walls at light speed. They were going off like rockets, man, along with airs that boggled the mind, were tricks that simply astounded. Keep watching. All right, urban action was an understatement for what went on over at Dysfunction Junction tonight. When the event organizers called the pipe a superpipe, they weren't kidding, man. Massive walls means massive tricks. And that is exactly what we saw. Unbelievable. Okay, people, even if you were in the nosebleed section at Dysfunction Junction tonight, you couldn't have missed the tricks that were being pulled. These competitors, they're just on another plane when it comes to focus. They're just amazing. Okay, Ruthless Ridge was where some supersonic race action was happening today. Somehow, competitors managed to navigate those insane cliffs to an amazing finish, and to top it all off, judges handed out some of the highest trick scores we've seen yet. Okay, the Snow Jam race event just finished, and, whoa. The tricks being thrown down put every other snowboard circuit on the globe to shame. When you're talking SSX, shaming other circuits, it's kind of a no-brainer, I guess. I personally believe schizophrenia is one of the more unique superpipes around. The way it snakes in on itself, the size of the walls, perfect, Seems some SSX riders thought so, too. The tricks they were pulling... we're witnessing legends here, people. Legends. Okay, what can I tell you? Schizophrenia is world-renowned for being the super pipe of all super pipes. So why was everyone so surprised at the amount of tricks pulled today? I think the surprise was over the quality. Big-time trick scores. Huge. Massive. Beautiful. You know, it's just like I always said. Schizophrenia is the super pipe riders don't just ride, they assault. I've seen it. I've sort of ridden it. So when you see the SSX crew pulling tricks like they were today, you better be giving them the respect they deserve. Gravitude is what you'd call a scary place. All the ice, crevices, come on. So when you see SSX competitors racing down at full tilt and pulling off tricks like what went on today, you know you're watching the best around. Everything else is substandard. Okay, y'all, at the speed riders were traveling today, I was surprised anybody caught anything. But word around the mountain is today's trick scores on Gravitude were, well, let's just say if there's dollars attached to these points, there are some very happy riders around. All right. Watching Gravitude's race action through Radio Big's mountain cams, just not cutting it for me anymore. The kind of tricks that were happening, you have to see it to believe it. Big tricks going on. Get up there, see it for yourself, baby. Okay, people, what I just caught on my trusty mountain cams was one of the most kick-butt, trick-heavy races I've seen in a long time. Riders turned Snow Jam into a jib fest, and if that's an indication of what's in store for this mountain, I'm so in, baby. Okay, for those of you just tuning in, the SSX action on Metro City Breakdown went off tonight. Every time you looked up, another rider was pulling some sort of spine-bending, brain-twisting trick. Man, that is just the way it ought to be. A little bit of race action was going fast and furious over on Metro City Breakdown tonight. The amount of tricks being fired off by competitors was rapid, turbocentric, and downright epic, baby. Keep your eyes peeled for more. Okay, all right, okay. I know the Metro City Breakdown track was supposed to be a race event, but man, I don't know, maybe it was something in the air, maybe there's something in the water, I don't know what, but it was complete and utter trick showdown out there. Very nice, people. Okay, if R&B's slopestyle today was any indication of what's in store for SSX fans, it's going to be an absolutely legendary circuit this year. With the type of tricks that I saw going on, this is the kind of event that makes heroes out of riders. You know, you take a slopestyle event anywhere else in the world and tell the riders to do a bunch of tricks. You'd probably get, at the least, something cool. The tricks on R&B today, mind-blowing. There's something wild going on here, man. Believe me. All right, here's the latest update from the slopestyle that just happened up on Peak One's R&B. It was basically a how-to demonstration for those of us who are trick pullable denied. Okay? You gotta see this stuff, man. This is unreal. I'll tell you what's great about the SSX circuit. You show up to catch a big air event like what went down today on the Crow's Nest, and you end up watching trick history being made, man. I'm loving this 2-for-1 stuff. Ruthless Ridge was where the SSX circuit got down to some serious racing today. Not only were riders pushing the sound barrier, but what was with those tricks, man? One after another. Tricks I've never even heard of. You gotta catch this action. Don't miss it. Okay, y'all. Intimidator was where the SSX circuit moved into ludicrous speed today. The course offers a little bit of everything and obviously a perfect setting for tricks. Riders were pulling magic out of their butts today. You gotta love it when they do that. It's so pretty. Okay, when I heard they were planning to stage a race on Peak 2's Intimidator, I suddenly had these visions of heli evacs, busted bones, and crying competitors. Instead, some of the craziest tricks being pulled I've ever seen. I love it when the circuit comes to town. After watching the impressive amounts of tricks that happen over on Intimidator today, event organizers take note. Build your jumps big. Set them up so everyone can view the goods. And keep a few gap jumps around, just for fun. All through the Style Mile today, SSX riders were giving fans exactly what they wanted. It was a trick fest. Every time somebody pulled something, someone else outdid them a second later. Now that is just the way it should be, you know what I'm saying? All right, spectators up on Peak 2's Style Mile definitely got their lift tickets worth today. The slope style, even the free ride and the warm-up sessions were going off with competitors trying out tricks that haven't even been invented yet. Keep your eyes open for more. Okay, y'all, from what I've heard and seen on Radio Big's mountain cams, Peak 2's Style Mile will be known from now on as Trick Central. I sincerely hope the boys from Frozen Films caught that action today. It was definitely something special. Launch time was the stage for the most impressive displays of trick mastery I think I've probably ever seen. I find it hard to believe the competitors can walk. Never mind do another event after what went on there today. I guess that's why they get paid the big bucks. I'm telling you, man, these mountain cams are great. I've been sitting here going over and over the footage from Peak 2's lunchtime big air event. Pushing the envelope is putting it mildly for how many tricks were being done up there. Let me know if you want to borrow the tape. I highly recommend it. You know, I don't know what's going on amongst the SSX riders these days, but something is making them pull tricks like never before, man. Peak 2's launch time was nothing but trick after mind-blowing trick, whatever's going on. I hope it continues. Okay, people, Kicked Out is absolutely one of the most difficult tracks event organizers have ever put together. The fact that SSX competitors pounded it today with tricks, it just tells you what caliber riding is at around here. Stick around for more. Okay, as far as slopestyle courses go, Kicked Out will go down in SSX track history as something to be feared and respected. What went on there today, trick-wise? Trust me, people will be talking about those scores for years. Well, I missed it. Kicked Out's mountain cam was on the fritz, and by the time it was up and going, the slopestyle event was over. And wouldn't you know it, once in a lifetime trick scores were handed out. Man, I always miss the good stuff. You know, I knew when things moved up to Peak 3, the level of riding would jump into, you know, the insane zone. On Much Too Much's big air event, riders were pulling tricks like they were going on sale, baby. More is definitely on the way. Well, although much of Peak 3 was without crowds today, riders were fully committing themselves to a brilliant display of talent on Much Too Much. Despite threats of whiteouts, avalanches, and natural disasters, the trick scores, awesome. Well, I said it was going to be legendary, and it was. Much Too Much on Peak 3 was host to the latest big air event. The SSX Elite pulled out all the tricks and showed why they do what no one else can do. I think the SSX sponsors are in a happy place today from what went down on Peak 3's Perpendiculous. The snowboard industry and media were buzzing about not only the trick scores, but the level of risk in the performance. Normal people also enjoyed it. Well, it was a long, cold, and some would say dangerous trek to get up to Peak 3's Perpendiculous, but man, it was worth it. Riders were leaving spectators speechless with their tricks and judges feeling generous with their scores. Wicked, baby. You know, the way I see it, if you're gonna go for gold on something like Peak 3's Perpendiculous, go well past it. SSX riders secured themselves a spot in snowboard history today with a collection of tricks that may never be outdone. Seems like everyone I know is riding it hard today. Everyone but me, of course. Yeah, well, you know, stuck in this studio. At least the music's good. Here's a little Basement Jacks. If you're looking to add something new to your collection after getting all your boy band stuff stolen, and I know how that feels, give this track from the Basement Jacks a listen. I've been a fan of these guys ever since Nate Logan turned me onto them. This particular tune is perfect for riding for. Here's Basement Jacks. If you're out riding with your bros, getting mucho face shots and turning your legs into jelly, here's some Placebo. Gonna make it even better. Here's a little Placebo coming your way. I'm sure you've all heard the jokes. Makes you feel better. Good for your ears. Yada, yada, yada. We here at Radio Big, we don't like making fun of people. So, you know, we won't. Except maybe Vigo. But, you know, he has it coming. Some of my buddies over at EA turned me onto this, but, well, I say buddies. They're not really buddies, you know what I'm saying? Video game geeks and all. But this band rocks. Here's Placebo. I caught this group live a little while ago. Great show. Lots of energy. They seem like a really cool bunch of guys, you know, from about, 150 rows back. Here's Finger 11. Here's some Finger 11 to add to that mountain experience you're all enjoying right now. Does anybody work around here other than me? Hello? I didn't think so. Just took a little look around the mountain with Radio Big's mountain cams. As usual, things are looking wicked. Here's some Finger 11 to keep the stoke going. Okay, y'all, let's see. Here we got a little Executioners to get you all going. Here's some Swollen Members coming up for you. For all those riders out there enjoying the Alpine, here's the Swollen Members and Utah Saints. All right, we got a little Swollen Members now, remixed by the Utah Saints, going out by request for Kaori Nishidaki. It's time for some Swollen Members and Utah Saints. The Alpine Stars are up next to give a little slopeside grooving. Just got a call from SSX champ Mac Fraser asking for some Alpine Stars action. Here you go, Mac. We've got some Executioners here going out to newcomer Allegra Sauvages. What a hottie. I'm a Robot is up next right here, going out to all those lucky enough to be listening to me and riding out there. I just got off the phone with Swede superstar Viggo Rolig asking for some I'm a Robot, and here they are. How about a little I'm a Robot, people? Yeah? Yeah, I thought so. Here we go. How about some Aphrodite, y'all, just to make, another perfect day just that little bit better? Aphrodite, by request, for Zoe Payne. Enjoy while you can some Aphrodite for your listening pleasure. And here's the latest from the Executioners. If you haven't heard of these guys, boy, you are gonna. Here's the latest from Johnny Morgan. I sure hope you love this tune as much as I do, baby. Johnny Morgan's playing the Day Shack today. Here's a little preview to get you in the mood. When you need to ride, this is what you need to listen to. Here's little Johnny Morgan. It's all about the perfect riding tunes as far as I'm concerned. Little Johnny Morgan coming your way. Here's the latest from Audio Bullies. Here's a little Audio Bullies to keep you going. And now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, some Executioners for your listening pleasure. Hope you're enjoying the perfect weather today. Here's a little Overseer. Sophia up on Peak 2 just called us up. She's looking to hear a little bit of Overseer. Here you go, baby. I just happened to be listening to these guys last time I was riding. Here comes a little Overseer. I thought I lost this CD. Here's some Yellow Card. You need a bit of a boost to ride to? Yellow Card always works for me. You can't ride and not have some Yellow Card. I got you covered. Here's the Executioners to help you on your way. Riders, beware. What makes a good day perfect? Good question. How about, the legendary Jane's Addiction? Wouldn't be a day on the slopes without a little Jane's Addiction. Enjoy, people. Jane's Addiction up next. I spoil you guys. Gonna hit you up right now with a wicked track from Jane's Addiction. When you need the perfect soundtrack, Jane's Addiction. I was just listening to these guys on the way over here. Little dilated peoples. So, I'm sitting here, I'm thinking, anybody feel like riding to a little Red Hot Chili Peppers? Here they are, with the Executioners. Everyone needs some chaos in their lives. Fortunately, up here, there's more than enough to go around. Have a listen. This one's going out to SSX competitor Elise Riggs. The Red Hot Chili Peppers, remixed by the Executioners. Well, here's a perfect riding combination. The Red Hot Chili Peppers, remixed by the Executioners. Little something from the Canadian band, the Swollen Members. This one's by request, the Swollen Members going out to competitor Griff Simmons. It's always a good time for some Alpine stars. And here they are. From me to you, baby. NERD with some help from Jason Nevins. This one's going out to Moby Jones. A bit of NERD, also known as the Neptunes, mixed by Jason Nevins. It's time for some NERD and Jason Nevins. All right, well, how about some Caesars to help you through this day? We just got a request from SSX powerhouse Nate Logan. The man wants some Caesars, and here they are. I got the latest coming up for you right now, folks, from the Caesars. I got a request going out to TG up on Peak 1 for something from the band Kinky. Got a request here. Simon Stark asking for something good to ride to from the band Kinky. We got a little Kinky right here. Going out to all of those tuning in to Radio Big. I kind of feel I'm in the mood for some Andy Hunter. I guess that means you are too. Here you go. Powder Pete just buzzed the station asking for some Andy Hunter. Party on, Pete. Here's a hip track from longtime cool guy Andy Hunter, coming your way. There's a little Deep Sky coming your way, from my turntable to your eardrums. Here's a little Deep Sky going out to that nasty ski patroller LG up on Peak 3. Time to chill, sweetheart. Here we go with some Deep Sky to get you all going. Rob down from Rob and Bob's Board Shop just called asking for some Dan the Automator. Here you go, Robbie. Now get back to work. Here's the latest from Dan the Automator. Listen to this track, baby. This one rocks. Most requested artist by our SSX competitors? Without a doubt, it's Vancouverite Johnny Morgan. Here he is. Here's a fat track from the steely-eyed missile man himself, Johnny Morgan. We are getting a lot of calls for this group. Here's the Audio Bullies. Here's a track from one of my favorites, Queens of the Stone Age, remixed by Uncle. You know what you need? Queens of the Stone Age. Remixed by Uncle. Looking through my pile of music here, how about some Queens of the Stone Age? Remixed by Uncle. By request, here's Felix the House Cat. Here's a little something to ride to. A little Felix the House Cat. I think I found just what the doctor ordered for all you sickos. Felix the House Cat. How about a little Fisher Spooner, remixed by Junkie XL. You like Fisher Spooner, folks? Cause here they come, straight at you, remixed by Junkie XL. Okay, Fisher Spooner and Junkie XL. Perfect combo to ride to. Enjoy. Going out to Combat Tracy, a bit of fat Boy Slim. For all the SSX nutcases out there, here's a little Fat Boy Slim. Fat Boy Slim. What more do you need? Enjoy. Okay, you know you want some. Here's the Black Eyed Peas. This one's going out to Sherpa manservant Carlo. The Black Eyed Peas. You know, we've had a few requests now for these guys, haven't we? Yeah. The Black Eyed Peas. Enjoy. This one's going out to Powder Pete. Here's a little Autopilot Off. Check it out, baby. Here's a kickin' track from Autopilot Off. When I'm carving it up, I'm listening to Autopilot Off, and now so are you. Here's some Jane's Addiction for your riding pleasure. Time for some quality tunes. Here's the Dilated Peoples. Oh, you need something to help you tackle the mountain? Here's a little Dilated Peoples for you. Zoe Payne turned me on to these guys. Here's Thrice. Today's conditions call for some Thrice. Enjoy. Let me know if you like these guys, and I'll play them some more. Here's a little Thrice. All right, what else I got kicking around here in this mess I call my home away from home? Yes. How about a little Chemical Brothers? Time now for some hassle-free, low-fat, one-of-a-kind Chemical Brothers. Just right, with no complications. You know, I'm thinking of popping this in, hitting repeat, and grabbing my board and just going riding, you know. This is the Chemical Brothers. I might be back. Without a doubt, it's time to take it up a notch music-wise. Dig deep, people. Ride it out the way it should be done. And just to be safe, here's a little Chaos. Man, I dig these guys. I totally dig these guys. First time I heard them, someone left a CD in my truck. Bad for them. Good for me. Great for you. Here's a little Chaos. Here you go, folks. Here's some tunes to ride to. You need some tunes? Yeah, me too. Here we go. All right, y'all. It's time to rock. Here's some tunage. This one's going out to all y'all in MCOM land. For all y'all in MCOM land, here's some tunes. This one's going out to all you MCOM users. Don't hurt anybody with that thing. For all those riders tuning into Radio Big on their MCOMs, here's some tunes for ya. I got all the music ingredients right here. Enjoy. You know what's missing? More tunes. Enjoy. It's time for some carving melodies coming at you. Y'all looking for some sounds to get down? Here they are, baby. Big mountain music coming your way. Just when you think you've got it all, some tunes to ride to. What's missing from a day in the mountains? Music? Here you go. You can't ride without the tunes. You know what I'm saying? Check it out. All right, here's some tunage for all of those out there carving it up. Pump up the MCOM. You know what I'm saying? Here comes some tunes for you. Have you found the volume knob on your MCOM yet? It's a little dial. It's right on the side. Yeah, there you go. Here we go with some tunes, baby. Here's the inside track from the circuit. When Elise Riggs speaks, people listen. When she mouths off about having Peak 3 all wrapped up like no one else, well, she's keeping some pretty tough company these days. Stay tuned. It's time for a bit of deep in the SSX trenches talk. There's a lot of noise over yesterday's announcement from Elise Riggs. Seems the returning circuit veteran is proclaiming Peak 3 hers and no one else's. I'd like to see Elise prove that. I'm sure you would too. Stick around, as this promises to get good. Here's a bit of inside info from the SSX circuit. Peak 3 has been done from top to bottom, and Elise Riggs is saying there's not an inch of this peak that she hasn't ridden or mastered. Sounds like a challenge to me. Anybody? Anybody? Hello? Somebody take her up on it. Here's a bit of inside info from the SSX circuit. Peak 3's been done from top to bottom, but Elise Riggs is saying there's not an inch of this peak that she hasn't ridden or mastered. Sounds like a challenge to me. Anybody? Oh, come on, somebody take her up on it. Here's a bit of inside info on the SSX circuit. Peak 1's being tagged by Griff Simmons himself as his personal stomping grounds. Griff is challenging anyone who's going to listen to try and give him a run for his money. Anybody up to it? Hey, here's the latest from the circuit. There's a lot of noise coming from Griff Simmons concerning Peak 1. It seems Griff feels bragging rights are his and his only. You know what I'd like to see? I'd like to see one of the SSX competitors making Griff put his money where his mouth is. Is there anybody out there up to that challenge? Time now for a little SSX street talk. The vibe around town is Griff Simmons is getting a little big for his britches. Okay, it seems the pint-sized powerhouse feels the real estate on Peak 1 is his own personal jibbing ground. I guarantee this is going to get pretty interesting. Hey, here's a bit of inside info on the SSX circuit. Peak 1's being tagged by none other than Mac Fraser himself as his own personal stomping grounds. Now, Mac's challenging anyone who will listen to try and give him a run for his money. Anybody up for it? All right, here's the latest from the circuit. There's a lot of noise coming from the Mac Fraser camp concerning Peak 1. It seems Mac feels bragging rights are his and his only. You know what I'd like to see? I'd like to see one of the SSX competitors making Mac put his money where his mouth is. Anybody up to that challenge? It's time now for a little SSX street talk. You know, the vibe around town is that Mac Fraser's getting a little big for his britches. Seems Mac feels the real estate on Peak 1 is his own personal jibbing ground. I guarantee this is going to get interesting. All right, here's some SSX info you won't hear anywhere else. Sounds like Rider Supreme Nate Logan was, mouthing off pretty loud about his mastery of Peak 2. It'll be interesting to see if anyone calls him on it. Those are big words, but, he's a pretty big guy. Here's the inside track from the circuit. There's a lot of talk going around lately about Nate Logan proclaiming himself as master of Peak 2. Big talk considering the caliber of this year's talent. Wonder if anyone will, take him down a notch. Here's some SSX info for those of you listening. Nate Logan's been dropping some pretty heavy statements around Peak 2, okay? Statements amounting to the fact that he, owns the place. I'm kind of curious to see how the other riders feel about that. All right, here's the inside track from the circuit. When Simon Stark speaks, people generally listen. You know, when he mouths off about having Peak 3 wrapped up like no one else, well, he's keeping some pretty tough company these days. Stay tuned. There's a lot of noise over yesterday's announcement from Simon Stark. It seems the returning circuit veteran is proclaiming Peak 3 as his and no one else's. I'd like to see Simon prove that, actually. Stick around. This promises to get good. Here's a bit of inside info from the SSX circuit. Peak 3 has been done from top to bottom, and Simon Stark is saying there's not an inch of the peak that he hasn't ridden or mastered. Mastered. Sounds like a challenge to me. Anyone? Come on. Somebody take him up on it. All right, here's the inside scoop from the circuit. A lot of talk going around lately about Zoe Payne proclaiming herself as master of Peak 2. Big talk considering the caliber of this year's talent. I wonder if anyone will, take her down a notch. Here's some SSX info for those of you listening, and Zoe Payne's been dropping some pretty heavy statements about Peak 2. Statements amounting to the fact that she basically owns the place. I'm kind of curious to see how the other riders feel about that. Here's some SSX info you won't be hearing anywhere else. Sounds like Rider Supreme Zoe Payne was mouthing off pretty loud about her mastery of Peak 2. Those are some pretty big words from a pretty crazy girl. It'll be interesting to see if anybody calls her on it. You're listening to Radio Big. And you're back with Radio Big. You're tuned to Radio Big. This is Radio Big. High above it all, you're with Radio Big. You're listening to EA Radio Big. You're back with Radio Big. Radio Big back again. Welcome back to Radio Big. Once again, this is Radio Big. We're back with EA Radio Big. You're listening to Radio Big. And you're back with Radio Big. You're tuned to Radio Big. This is Radio Big. High above it all, you're with Radio Big. You're listening to EA Radio Big. You're back with Radio Big. Radio Big back again. Welcome back to Radio Big. Once again, this is Radio Big. We're back with EA Radio Big. Stay tuned for all the latest news here on Radio Big. Stick around and catch the latest here on Radio Big. Make sure you stay with Radio Big for all your news. Check back for more here on Radio Big. Stay tuned with Radio Big for all your updates. Stay tuned right here to Radio Big. For all your mountain info, stay with Radio Big. We got everything you need right here on Radio Big. For all your alpine listening, stay with Radio Big. Stay tuned with Radio Big for everything you need to know on and off the mountain. Let's check in with our competitor spotlight. Although new to SSX, Allegra Sauvages has already made her name known throughout the events as a rider to be reckoned with. Stay tuned as we follow her through the circuit. Now for some competitor spotlight info. Even with this year's batch of competitors raising the bar considerably, industry experts are still expecting great things from the newcomer, Allegra Sauvages. All right, y'all, here's the latest with our competitor spotlight. The rebellious and determined Allegra Sauvages is getting some recognition as a frequent medalist and record breaker. Keep up on our latest developments here at Radio Big. Let's check in with our competitor spotlight with Allegra Sauvages. Allegra, she doesn't really even need to be snowboarding to be successful. She pretty much has millions of drooling idiot guys around her all the time. There's no shortage of those here, you know what I'm saying? If you haven't seen her yet, get on it, baby. Here's the competitor spotlight on Allegra Sauvagesse. Blasting onto the scene abruptly, she continues to prove critics wrong. Initially referred to as just another pretty face, Allegra is known for dominating every competition she enters. Here's the competitor spotlight on my girl Allegra Sauvagesse. This girl is kicking rider butt like it's on sale right now. Watching her ride is a complete treat, and the fans are eating it up, man. Do yourself a favor, check her out. You will not be disappointed. Now for some competitor spotlight info. Allegra Sauvagesse manages to rise above it all and just keeps turning heads, man. Racking up some impressive standings throughout the circuit. Nothing or no one seems to be getting in her way. Keep your eyes on this one. She's on fire. Let's check in with our competitor spotlight. Managing to catch a few by surprise, Allegra Sauvagesse has rocketed to the top of the circuit. Whatever she wants, she gets. Things are heating up on the slopes, and Allegra is becoming a focus of both the media and her fellow competitors. You better keep your eyes on her. The competitor spotlight continues with Allegra Sauvagesse. Quite a few callers ringing me up here at Radio Big asking all about SSX's latest fireball. Quite a few of them happen to be lovesick males, coincidentally. Guys, get a life. Find a different hobby. Quit bugging me. Let's check in with our latest competitor spotlight. Canadian powerhouse Elise Riggs is back with the SSX circuit. Seems she's already on the way to making sure the veterans and newcomers alike are fully aware of her riding talents. This competitor spotlight is on my girl, Elise Riggs. Things are going well for Elise this year as she returns to the circuit with a vengeance. Her riding is coming together in a big way as she adds even more wins to an already impressive record. Check this girl out. She is hot. You just have to take my word for it. What's happening with our competitors? It looks as though Elise Riggs has no intention of relinquishing her hard-fought success in the world of SSX. Once again, Elise has set her sights on nothing less than total alpine domination. This competitor spotlight is on Elise Riggs. Known for her impressive strength and stamina, this boarding Amazon is pegged by many as a strong favorite this time around for SSX medal contentions. Now for our competitor spotlight. To the delight of many, the statuesque bombshell known as Elise Riggs is back, baby. Yeah! If there was ever an icon for a sport, it is Elise. Talented, savvy, she possesses frightening drive. If you have anything for SSX women, it better be respect. Let's check in with our competitor spotlight. One thing that comes to mind when watching SSX veteran Elise, well, you know, at least my mind, killer hotness, maybe? I guarantee you, though, you won't catch me saying that in front of her. Elise has a rep for not suffering fools gladly, if you know what I'm saying. Check her out. You'll see what I mean. Here's the competitor spotlight on Elise Riggs. This year's circuit sees Elise Riggs returning in fine form. Whatever it is they feed those girls up there in the Great White North, it definitely seems to be getting the job done. Every inch the champion. Watch for Elise to be collecting golds like they're going out of style. Our spotlight continues with Elise Riggs. Elise is an impressive package, I think, is the best way to describe it. Looks, attitude, style, and most of all, power. Elise has it all seamlessly working for her. Catch her winning action as the circuit continues. Time for our competitor spotlight on the beautiful and talented Elise Riggs. Cruising into a series of wins, Elise further supports her title as the reigning queen of SSX. Reports continue to come in of Elise nailing event after event after event. Get on up there, girl. Go on and watch a circuit legend in action. Our competitor spotlight continues with Griff Simmons. There's not much this 12-year-old legend in the making can't handle. Shrugging off circuit jitters, he's giving the rest of our competitors a full-blown ride for their money. Keep an eye on this one. Now for some competitor spotlight info. What's fueled by sugar, can't sit still for longer than a nanosecond, and continuously seems to be getting his tongue stuck to the lift towers? That would be SSX newcomer and fan favorite, Griff Simmons. Watch out for this guy, boy. Checking in with the competitor spotlight, we've got 12-year-old riding sensation, Griff Simmons. This kid continues to defy logic, blow minds, and have more fun than what's actually legally allowed here on the mountain. Here's hoping his never-ending enthusiasm for the sport continues to be so contagious. Checking in with the competitor spotlight, we have newcomer Griff Simmons. I don't know, maybe it's his age, maybe it's, his sugar-saturated brain that just doesn't register it, but this kid shows no fear. This guy's a favorite with the SSX fan. Griff puts on a show every time he rides. Definitely check this kid out. The competitor spotlight moves on to highlight Griff Simmons. I was lucky enough to catch Griff practicing up on Peak 2. It's like this guy's got a nuclear reactor inside him or something. He's pumping out endless supplies of energy, man. Every second of every run, he is in total vibration mode. It is awesome. Let's check in with our competitor spotlight. New to the circuit this year, 12-year-old Griff Simmons. The word is, he can ride circles around a few of his fellow competitors, and actually, from what I hear, he already has. Apparently, a couple of the older, slightly crankier riders find Griff's non-stop jib a little bit tiring. Lighten up, Simon. What's up, buddy? The competitor spotlight focuses on newcomer Griff Simmons. This is exactly what the SSX circuit needs right now. Young, crazy. This kid's a total joy to watch. He blows away the competition, and the hype is real, people. Griff is making a name for himself. He's establishing his rep as a champ in the making. Keep your eye on this kid. I'm not joking. You think I'm joking? I'm not joking. So, Griff Simmons. I caught the kid in action yesterday. Amazing? This kid is so hyped up on sugar and adrenaline, he couldn't stop vibrating. Watching him in the finish area, he was literally bouncing off his fellow competitors. You gotta check this kid out. Checking in with the competitor spotlight, we have Griff Simmons. Again, Griff defies odds. He's just continuing this uncanny streak of success he's on. It's hard to believe he's barely 12. When I was his age, I just got the training wheels off my bike. Whatever this kid is eating, I want some. The hype with our latest competitor spotlight has media and fans alike buzzing about the new and improved Kaori Nishidaki. Always a competitor of obvious talent and drive, seems her riding this time around has progressed considerably in strength and in confidence. The competitor spotlight continues with returning rider Kaori Nishidaki, once described as having the best laugh on the circuit. Kaori once again brings her freshness, boundless energy, and talent into the SSX mix. Our competitor spotlight shifts gears now and focuses in on returning Japanese star Kaori Nishidaki. Looking as stylish as ever, Kaori seems to always have a consistent spot on the SSX podium. Watch out for this girl. Time now for our competitor spotlight. I recently had the pleasure of meeting returning pro Kaori Nishidaki. Since I don't, speak a lot of Japanese, I didn't really actually catch a lot of what she was saying, but, there's a lot of laughing, smiling, and some really bad music in the background. Anyway, this girl can ride, man. Do yourself a favor, check this girl out. This competitor spotlight is on Kaori Nishidaki. If you don't know who Kaori is, pull your head out of the snowbank, okay? Stylish from her boots all the way up to her always funky hair, Kaori has become the ultimate celebrity in Japan. It's not hard to figure out why. Check out her riding, and you'll see what I mean. Our competitor spotlight turns now to Japanese riding sensation Kaori Nishidaki. There's always something I've wanted to ask Kaori myself. What exactly does she carry in those little backpacks she's always wearing? Anyways, she's back. She's looking fine. Do your best and check her out. Our competitor spotlight targets returning superstar Kaori Nishidaki. Whatever it was that Kaori was doing in the off-season, it's working, baby. She's not just doing well this time around on the circuit, she is dominating. Head on up and catch the latest action. Time now for our competitor spotlight on Kaori Nishidaki. A big-time fan favorite, Kaori looks to be adding to her series of wins. Watching her this morning, I could tell she's got gold on the mind. Tight riding, big airs, smooth tricks. Just go on up there and see for yourself. Kaori Nishidaki's in our competitor spotlight. It's easy to find this returning SSX veteran in the finish area. Look for the crowd of media, the psycho fans, and, a couple shiny medals. Kaori, looking as fashionable as ever, seems to be on a mission to win. So what's all the fuss about? Check her out. Mac Fraser is in our competitor spotlight. Seems Mac's skills off the mountain are getting him some well-deserved hype. Fans of his DJ work are lining up well in advance as he plays back-to-back shows tonight at the Day Shack. I'll be there. The competitor spotlight continues featuring Mac Fraser. A strong showing on last year's circuit has SSX fans wondering what the uber-talented jibber will be bringing to the slopes this time around. No doubt Mac has his sights set on the gold. Let's see if he can pull it off. Checking in with the competitor spotlight, we got Mac Fraser back again doing his thing. Interestingly enough, though, I caught Mac skating up a storm backstage at the Day Shack last night. The kid has some killer moves going on, baby. Fellow competitors, beware. Here's the latest in our competitor spotlight. Mac Fraser's thrown down some big spins on and off the mountain. I managed to sneak out, catch one of his sets last night at the Day Shack. I'm telling you, man, if this guy can ride like he DJs, he's got this circuit wrapped up, boy. Catch his riding, his music, or both. Time for the competitor spotlight on Mac Fraser. After a particularly stressful event, it seems Mac was letting off a little steam by throwing down some serious rail action. No surprise there, except for the fact that it was all over town. There wasn't a staircase or deck that got away untouched. That's the way it should be when you live in the mountains. Let's check in with our competitor spotlight. Mac Fraser's back on the SSS circuit. You know what I'm saying? And from one of my many inside sources, he's staying alone this time at the Big Mountain Hotel. Word is, Fraser's such an unbelievable slob that his usual circuit roommate, Moby, has had enough. Some people's kids, huh? Checking in with the competitor spotlight, we got Mac Fraser. Mac's got his brain in the right mode these days as he continues amassing some impressive wins. Watching him this morning warming up in the park, he was looking loose, he was looking smooth. Keep your eyes on him, you might miss him. What's happening with our SSX competitors, you ask? Well, apparently, an impromptu urban rail session with Mac Fraser and Simon Stark came to an abrupt end last night. Simon and a taxi ended up butting heads. The cab was sent to the shop, and, Simon will be riding tomorrow. Yeah, there's someone I want to race against. Here's the latest in our competitor spotlight. Mac Fraser seems to be having the time of his life up here. Mac is enjoying some serious wins on the circuit, spinning up a storm at Day Shack, and getting some wicked backcountry riding in between events. You can catch Mac doing his thing on any of the three peaks. Mac Fraser's in our competitor spotlight. I had a chance to catch Mac in a rare moment yesterday, actually, doing nothing. Kicking back. After a particularly sweet powder run, Mac was taking a break. And, when I asked what he had planned for the rest of the circuit, he smiled and said, "Gold, baby. Lots and lots of gold." Watch this guy closely. Time now for our competitor spotlight on Moby Jones. Originally from Brixton, England, Mr. Jones has been described by media and fellow riders alike as a riding machine. His past victories on the circuit have once again set him up as a sure bet for medal contention. Checking in with the competitor spotlight, we have riding superstar Moby Jones. Seems Moby's doing a little cross-training while in our town. Moby checked out JB's night bike ride yesterday and blew minds with his BMX skills. Unreal. Most people can't ride one of those things on pavement. This guy does it on ice. It's crazy. The competitor spotlight continues with the dreadlocked funkifier, Moby Jones. I'm just thinking out loud here, so, don't quote me on this, but does anyone else think there's something going on between Moby and Zoe? It would make sense. They do share the same blind hairdresser. He's the only guy I know who, isn't intimidated by her, and, well, I'm just thinking out loud. Moby Jones is in our competitor spotlight. Moby uses everything in his arsenal to psych out his competition, along with his top-notch skills and a level of fitness few can achieve. There's the lid. Have you seen this guy's mop? It looks like rabid snakes exploding out from under his helmet. I mean, I would find that a major distraction. Is that legal? Time for the competitor spotlight on Moby Jones. It's funny, when I think of merry old England, snowboard superstar is not the first thing that comes to mind. Paleness caused by endless rain and really good comedy and bad teeth's kind of what I think of. But hey, Moby's kicking rider butt in everything he enters. Check out the circuit and see for yourself. Moby Jones is the focus of our competitor spotlight. It seems Moby's been hitting the weights because he's pulling some serious muscle busting up there, man. Showing up for this year's circuit, it's clear Moby's got his mind tuned to winning. He's ripping it up. Watch out. Let's check in with the latest competitor spotlight. SSX veteran and all-around nice guy Moby Jones is doing his winning thing up here at Big Mountain. Although the competition is fierce, Moby is making regular trips to the podium, and I think he's having a pretty good time to boot. Stay with us as we continue our coverage. The SSX competitor spotlight continues with Brit sensation Moby Jones. This dreadlocked master of the slopes is back to show his stuff on this year's SSX circuit. Although the level of competition is at an all-time high, Moby shows no signs of letting his fans down. Our competitor spotlight targets the skillful and talented Moby Jones. To the fans, he's a favorite. To his fellow competitors, a supportive ally or a strong enemy. His look of dreadlocked funk always makes this guy a treat to watch. The competitor spotlight highlights new to the circuit, Nate Logan. I remember Nate from way, way back. First time I saw him take gold in a Colorado comp, I knew, man, this dude is going somewhere. With never-ending determination, stellar focus, it seems like nothing's out of Nate's reach. Yeah, definitely worth watching. Now for some competitor spotlight info. Nate Logan has smashed onto the riding scene with his wicked boarding and oak tree size. The big dude from Colorado is swooping up wins left, right, and center these days. If you're watching the circuit, you're gonna see him. Our competitor spotlight moves on to highlight Nate Logan. Originally from Colorado, Nate fought his way up the ranks to establish himself firmly in the circuit. I think it's safe to say we can expect big things from Nate. Let's check in with our competitor spotlight. Although new to SSX, Nate Logan has already made his name known throughout as a rider to be reckoned with. Stay tuned as we follow him through the circuit. This competitor spotlight is on Nate Logan. Known for his impressive strength and determination, this Colorado native is pegged by many as a strong favorite in the SSX medal contentions. Let's check in with our competitor spotlight. Nate Logan's new to the circuit, and he's got some killer talent. He brings some mountain size. You know, how good is it gonna get when you have someone with Nate's muscle meeting the twisted mind of someone like Simon, you know what I'm saying? Today in Alpine Paradise, tomorrow a charred wasteland. Cool. Nate Logan is the focus of our competitor spotlight. I've met Nate a couple times now. He's pretty big. He's friendly, surprisingly intelligent, and it has that, that just happy to be here vibe going on, but, start talking about the circuit, that casual vibe turns into something a little more hard-edged. Pay attention to this kid. Take my advice. Colorado native Nate Logan. There was a time when Nate only had one board. He managed to maintain the thing through 2 seasons of competition. And then when the sponsors came a-calling, he had that board mounted in his living room, right above his collection of medals. Keep your eye on him. Let's check the competitor spotlight on Nate Logan. I managed to catch some race action the other day and watched as Nate pulled off some pretty amazing moves. Don't let his super size fool you. This guy can turn on a dime. He can snake line faster than anyone I've seen so far. Check out the goods. You know what I'm saying? Time now for our competitor spotlight on Simon Stark. Stunts like being accidentally electrocuted while jumping his bike over power lines sum up Simon fairly accurately. His reputation as a wild man is accurate as his status as one of the circuit's fiercest competitors. Watch this guy closely. Here's the competitor spotlight on Simon Stark. No one really knows if all his flash is a carefully planned performance or a natural wildness threatening to spill over. Media and fans alike will be watching closely to see how he does this time around on the SSX circuit. Checking in with the competitor spotlight, we have returning wildman Simon Stark. This year his riding seems to be faster, it's a lot looser. His airs, they're not just astonishing, they're frightening, baby. You gotta ask yourself, is this the time Simon goes too far? Time now for our competitor spotlight on returning rider Simon Stark. 2 nights ago, I caught Simon dancing up a storm at the Day Shack. The best way to describe it, tornado-like? Hey man, when that guy grooves to a tune, nothing's breaking his concentration. I heard he rides that way too, alright? Watch out. Now for some competitor spotlight info. Each one of Simon's tattoos, and there are some that rarely see the light of day here, okay? They're all designed and drawn by Simon first. Each one has layers of history and personal meaning, and if you happen to get close enough, ask him what each one means. Go ahead. No, really, I dare you. I double dog dare you. The competitor spotlight moves to Simon Stark. Not only is Simon racking up wins and busting records for fun, he's making fellow competitors think twice about getting too close. He's all about the competition all the time. Dangerous. You'll see what I mean. This competitor spotlight features returning rider Simon Stark. Why does Simon stand out so much? Is it the tattoos? Maybe? The combat-inspired clothes? How about that hair? I like to think that it's his results, probably, Win after win after win after win, medal after medal. The man is unstoppable. See for yourself. Time now for our competitor spotlight. Creepy, freaky, wicked, cool. Watching Simon's like watching a natural disaster in the making. His riding is on a new level this time around. Catch the weirdness. Our competitor spotlight now turns to feature Vigo Rolig. Is this guy for real? Man. He's mobbed by the ladies in the finish line, man. Cameras flashing like mad. Neckload of medals to fly home with it. It ticked me off except for the fact, he's such a nice guy. Talented and cool. Rare combination. Check him out and see what I mean. Here's the competitor spotlight on Vigo Rolig. Blasting onto the North American scene, fresh from living it up across Europe, Vigo's already making a name for himself in the SSX circuit. On and off the mountain, his antics are drawing attention. Check him out. Let's check in with our competitor spotlight. Viggo Rolig has already made his name known throughout the events as a rider to watch closely. Stay tuned as we follow this guy through the circuit. Now for some competitor spotlight info. Industry experts are expecting great things from newcomer Viggo Rolig. After winning competition after competition all throughout Europe, Viggo has arrived with SSX Gold firmly in sight. This competitor spotlight is on Viggo Rolig. This up-and-coming superstar is making a name for himself quickly throughout the circuit. According to a few waitress friends of mine, he's also making a name with our town's female population, breaking records and breaking hearts. When I grow up, I want to be just like Viggo. The competitor spotlight turns to focus on Viggo Rolig. The media have been using such words as mischievous, hyped, boisterous to describe both his riding and his personality. I went a little bit deeper and asked one of his fellow competitors, and what did Zoe have to say? 20 pounds of cool in a 5-pound bucket. Yeah. Let's check the competitor spotlight on Viggo Rolig. He actually dropped by last night on his way to, a party that most of us can only dream of going to. Friendly, outgoing, I'd even say, a little slightly oblivious to it all. The guy is constantly on, though. He told me how happy he is to be here on the SSX circuit and how much he enjoys hanging out with his fellow riders. Nice guy. Check out his riding. Checking in with the competitor spotlight, we've got Viggo Rolig. Whatever's in the water over there, you can make a fortune bottling it and selling it to Viggo's competitors. The young Swede continues his reign of wildness on and off the slopes. Watch him once and you're hooked. The competitor spotlight's on Viggo Rolig. Talking with Viggo is one thing. He constantly cracks me up, but watching him ride, Viggo's somebody who's going into SSX history. There's no doubt about it. Just take a look for yourself. You'll see what all the fuss is about. This competitor spotlight is on Zoe Payne. Known for her standout style and complete individualism, Zoe is back to make her mark in the SSX circuit. A wild and unpredictable ride. Someone always gets hurt when she's around. You notice that? Do yourself a favor, check her out. What's happening with our SSX competitors? It looks as though Zoe Payne is back to continue her long-time winning streak. Although competition is fierce on this year's circuit, many are pegging Zoe as a strong contender. A strong showing in the past has SSX fans looking forward to Zoe's riding with huge anticipation. Never one to disappoint. Zoe is making no small deal out of her plans to dominate this year's circuit. Stay tuned to see what happens. This competitor spotlight is on Zoe Payne. I feel confident in saying Zoe will be kicking butt and taking names all over the Three Peaks today. Watching her ride the other day, I gotta tell you, there was something new going on there. Something fresh, something focused, baby. Expect big things from Miss Payne. Checking in with the competitor spotlight, we find Zoe Payne. Zoe once told me she bleeds adrenaline, and anyone who's seen her ride would definitely agree. But here's something very few people know. Zoe has an incredible singing voice. She really does. She's the real deal. I'm rooting for you, Zoe. Call me, baby. Our competitor spotlight now turns to Zoe Payne. I think I speak for the whole station here when I say we love Zoe. We love everything about her, baby. Riding, clothes, attitude. Zoe has got it on, you know what I'm saying? We here at Radio Big will be watching her very closely, as we always have. And we always will. Our competitor spotlight moves on to highlight Zoe Payne. What's the best way to describe Zoe? How about crazy, ultra-talented, and definitely smoking hot? And with the latest circuit results coming in, add consistent winner and all-round butt kicker. Join the army of Zoe fans and check her out. The competitor spotlight's on Zoe Payne. The way I see it, if you're going to win, you might as well look good doing it. You know what I'm saying? In my opinion, no one is looking better than Zoe, okay? Her uber hotness moves ahead of the pack with an ever-growing collection of medals. See for yourself. The competitive spotlight turns to Zoe Payne. Gifted musician, legendary mountain bike rider, and according to the latest circuit standings, SSX leader to boot. Zoe's having a sweet year with her riding vastly improving from last year's circuit go-round. Check out Zoe's latest moves anywhere on the Three Peaks. Here's the latest in circuit news. Allegra Sauvages is doing particularly well these days. This being her first go-around with SSX, I think it's safe to say we'll be keeping a running tab on Allegra. To hear it all, stay right here on Radio Big. Checking in with circuit news, we have Allegra Sauvages cleaning up with wins all over the mountain. As things continue to go from good to astounding for the talented newcomer, Radio Big will be bringing you the latest in Allegra developments. Here's some circuit news for those of you listening. Allegra Sauvagesse is letting everybody know just how bad she wants that gold as a serious winning roll continues. Radio Big will be bringing you that special boarding goodness as it happens. Time now for the latest in circuit news. Allegra Sauvagesse continues to do what she does best, kick snowboard butt. With wins all over the mountain, Radio Big will be keeping a close eye on Allegra. Stick around. Okay, y'all, here's what's happened on the circuit. It seems Allegra Sauvagesse has been making a big name for herself lately. As more and more wins fall into her lap, Radio Big will be attempting to keep up with her. Stay with us as we stay on top of it all. Here's the latest circuit updates. Allegra, the girl's got a pretty stellar future ahead of her, I'm telling you. Seems there's nothing and absolutely no one getting in her way. Keep at it, Allegra. Man, you got our attention. We're back with the latest in circuit news. I gotta tell you, I am digging young Allegra's riding these days. This is a level of riding I haven't seen in a long time. Big things are coming Allegra's way, I pretty much guarantee you that. Here's the latest in circuit news. If you're looking for a sure win to bet on, anybody? A good move would be to drop it all on Allegra, I'm telling you. I'm seeing nothing but gold ahead of her. Atta go, Allegra. You just keep doing what you're doing, baby. Some SSX updates for those of you listening in. It's getting pretty tough to ignore Allegra Sauvagesse. For a newcomer, she's making sure no one's going to be forgetting her name. Stay with Radio Big as we follow her domination over the rest of the circuit. Here's the latest in circuit news. Elise Riggs is doing pretty well these days. A returning SSX veteran who's kicking mass butt. I think it's safe to say we'll be keeping a running tab on Miss Riggs. To hear it all, stay tuned right here to Radio Big. Here's the latest circuit update. Elise, the girl's got a solid gold career ahead of her, I'm telling you. Seems there's nothing and definitely no one getting in her way. Keep at it, Elise. You are owning this mountain, girl. Checking in with some circuit news, we got Elise Riggs dominating. She's got wins all over the mountain. As things continue to go from good to better for the talented Canadian, Radio Big will be bringing you all the latest in Elise developments. Here's what's happening on the mountain. It seems Elise Riggs has been making a big impact in the circuit lately. As more and more wins fall her way, Radio Big will be there to report on it all. Stay with us as we stay with Elise. Here's some circuit news for those of you listening in. Elise Riggs is pretty much letting everybody know SSX Gold belongs to her. As a serious string of wins continues, Radio Big will be bringing you the latest updates as they happen. Time now for the latest in circuit news. Elise Riggs continues to do what she does best, kick everyone's butt. With wins all over the mountain, Radio Big will be keeping a close eye on Queen Elise. Keep listening, baby. Here's some SSX updates for those of you listening in. It's getting pretty tough to ignore Elise Riggs. As a boarding powerhouse, Elise is making sure no one's gonna forget her name. Stay with Radio Big as we follow her domination over the rest of the circuit. We're back with the latest in circuit news. I gotta tell you, I am loving Elise's riding these days. Her riding is at a level of awesome I have not seen in a long time. Big things are coming Elise's way, I guarantee it. Here's the latest in circuit news. If you were looking for a sure bet, a good move would be to throw it all on Elise. I'm seeing nothing but gold in her future. You know, you got it, Elise. You just keep doing what you're doing. Okay, here's the latest in circuit news. Griff Simmons is doing particularly well these days, I'd say. The youngest competitor on the circuit, he is kicking his share of butt. I think it's safe to say we'll be keeping a running tab on Griff. To hear it all, stay right here with Radio Big. Checking in with some circuit news, we have 12-year-old Griff Simmons pretty much just dominating right now with wins all over the mountain. You know, as things continue to go from good to astounding for the pint-sized wonder boy, Radio Big will be bringing you all the latest in all of Simmons' developments. Here's what's happening on the mountain. It seems Griff has been making a big impact on the circuit lately as more and more wins fall his way. Radio Big will be there to report on it all. Stay with us as we stay with Griff. Here's some circuit news for those of you listening. Griff Simmons is letting everybody know right now all the SSX gold is going to him. As a major string of wins continues, Radio Big will be bringing you all the latest updates as they happen. It's time now for the latest in circuit news. Griff Simmons continues to do what he does best. Destroy his competition. With wins all over the mountain, Radio Big will be keeping a close eye on this Griff guy. Stick around. Here's some SSX updates for those of you listening in. It's getting pretty tough not to notice Griff Simmons. You notice that? A boarding force to be reckoned with. Griff is making sure that no one's forgetting his name. Stay tuned with Radio Big as we follow his domination all over the rest of the circuit. Here's the latest circuit update. Griff, the dude has got a golden future ahead of him, man. Seems there's nothing and definitely no one getting in his way. Keep at it, Griff. You got this place wrapped, baby. We're back with the latest in circuit news. I gotta tell you, man, Griff's riding these past few days? This is at a level I have not seen in a very long time. Big things are coming Griff's way, I guarantee. Here's the latest in circuit news. If you were looking for some great odds on a solid bet, I would say a good move would be drop it all on Griff, baby. I'm seeing nothing but wins in his future. You know you got it all happening for you, Griff. You just keep doing what you're doing, buddy. Checking in with circuit news, we have Kaori Nishidaki dominating with victories all over the mountain right now. As things continue to go from good to amazing for the talented import, Radio Big will be bringing you all the latest in Kaori's developments. Kaori Nishidaki has been making a big impact in the circuit lately. As more and more wins fall her way, Radio Big will be there to report on it all. Stay with us as we stay with Kaori. Okay, here's the latest in circuit news. Kaori Nishidaki is, I'd say doing particularly well these days. A returning SSX competitor, she's kicking huge butt. I think it's safe to say we'll be keeping a running tab on Lady Nishidaki. To hear it all, stay right here on Radio Big. Here's some circuit news for those of you listening. Kaori Nishidaki is letting everybody know SSX Gold belongs to her, baby. As a serious string of wins continues, Radio Big will be bringing you the latest SSX updates as they happen. Time now for the latest in circuit news. Kaori Nishidaki continues to do what she does best, kick everyone's butt with style. With wins all over the mountain, Radio Big will be keeping a close eye on Kaori. So should you, so stick around. Some SSX updates for those of you listening in. It's getting pretty tough not noticing Kaori Nishidaki. As a boarding powerhouse, Kaori is making sure no one will forget who she is. Stay with Radio Big as we follow her domination over the rest of the circuit. Here's the latest circuit update. Kaori, the girl's got a sweet ride ahead of her. It seems there is nothing and definitely no one getting in her way. Keep it up, Kaori. This place is never gonna forget you, baby. We're back with the latest in circuit news. I gotta tell you, man, I am loving Kaori's boarding these days. Her riding is at a level I have not seen in a long time. Big things are coming Kaori's way. Bet on it. Okay, a good move would be to look closely at Kaori. I'm seeing nothing but solid gold in her immediate future. You know, you got it going on, Kaori. We are loving every minute of it. Here's the latest, y'all, in circuit news. Mac Fraser's doing pretty well these days. A returning SSX veteran who's kicking butt all he wants. I think it's safe to say that we'll be keeping a running tab on Fraser. To hear it all, stay right here on Radio Big. Checking in now with circuit news. We got Mac Fraser dominating with wins all over the mountain. As things continue to go from good to great for the Hucker extraordinaire, Radio Big will be bringing you the latest in Fraser's developments. Here's what's happening on the mountain right now. Seems lately Mac Fraser's been making a major impact on the circuit. As more and more wins come his way, Radio Big will be there to report on it all. Stay with us as we stay with Mac. Here's some circuit news for those of you listening. Mac Fraser's been letting everybody know everything gold belongs to him. As a serious string of wins continues, Radio Big will be bringing you the latest updates as they happen. Time now for the latest in circuit news. Mac Fraser continues to do what he does best, kick everyone's butt. With wins all over the mountain, Radio Big will be keeping a close eye on returning vet Fraser, and so should you, so stick with us. Some SSX updates for those of you listening in. It's getting pretty tough to ignore Mac Fraser. As a boarding powerhouse, Fraser's making sure no one will ever forget his name. Seriously. Stay with Radio Big as we follow Mac's domination over the rest of the circuit. Here's the latest in circuit news. If you were looking for a sure bet, a good move would be put it all on Mac. I am seeing nothing but winning in his future. You know, it's all good, Mac. You just keep doing what you've been doing, man. Here's the latest circuit update. Mac, the man, has serious talent. Seems there's nothing and definitely no one getting in his way. Keep at it, Mac. You got a lot more wins coming your way. We're back with the latest in circuit news. I gotta tell y'all, have you seen Mac's riding? Have you seen it? This is at a level that few have seen in a long time. Big things coming Mac's way, I guarantee it. Okay, y'all, here's the latest in circuit news. Moby Jones is doing pretty good these days. A returning SSX veteran who's kicking butt everywhere. I think it's safe to say we'll be keeping a running tab on Mr. Jones. To hear it all, stay right here on Radio Big. Here's some circuit news for those of you listening. Moby Jones is pretty much letting everybody know it's gold or nothing. As an impressive string of wins continues, Radio Big will be keeping you informed with all the latest in updates. Time now for the latest in circuit news. Moby Jones continues to do what he does best. Leave everyone in his dust, baby. With wins all over the mountain, Radio Big will be keeping a close eye on Sir Moby. Don't even think about missing out this one. And now we got some SSX updates for those of you listening in. It's getting pretty hard to ignore Moby Jones. A modern-day legend, Moby's making sure no one is gonna ever forget his name. Stay with Radio Big as we follow his domination over the rest of the circuit. Here's the latest circuit update. Moby, the man's got nothing but victory in his future, dude. Seems there's nothing and no one getting in his way. Keep at it, Jones. We're loving the show you're putting on. We're back with the latest in circuit news. I gotta tell you, I'm loving Moby's riding. It is at a level of perfection I have not seen in a long time. Big things are coming Moby's way. We guarantee it. Now here's the latest in circuit news. Looking for a sure bet? Okay, good move. Put it all on Moby. I'm seeing nothing but wins in his future. You know, you got it going on right now, Moby. You just keep doing what you've been doing, buddy. Checking in now with SSX News, we have Moby Jones dominating with medals all through the circuit. As things continue to go from good to astounding for the talented Brit, Radio Big will be bringing you the latest in Moby's developments. Here's what's happening on the mountain right now. It seems Moby's been making a big impact in the circuit as more and more wins fall his way. Radio Big will be there to report on it all. Stay with us as we stay with Mr. Jones. Here's the latest circuit update. Nate, the dude's got a career made of gold ahead of him. Seems there's nothing and definitely no one getting in his way. Keep it up, Nate. You're owning this place, man. We're back with the latest in circuit news. I gotta tell you, I'm grooving with Nate's riding these days. His boarding is at a level I haven't seen on this circuit in a long, long time. Big things coming Nate's way. I'm guaranteeing it. Here now, the latest in circuit news. Nate Logan's doing particularly well these days. A newcomer to the SSX world, he is kicking huge butt. I think it's safe to say we'll be keeping a running tab on Mr. Logan. To hear it all, stay right here on Radio Big. Checking in now with some circuit news, we have Nate Logan dominating with wins all over the mountain right now. As things continue to go from good to incredible for the dude from Colorado, Radio Big will be bringing you all the latest in Nate's developments. Here's what's happening on the mountain. Mr. Nate Logan has been making a big impression amongst the circuit lately. As more and more wins fall his way, Radio Big will be there to report on all of it. Stay with us as we stay with Nate. Here's some circuit news for those of you listening. Nate Logan's letting everybody know SSX Gold is going home with him, okay? As a serious string of wins continues for Mr. Logan, Radio Big will be bringing you the latest in updates. Time now for the latest in circuit news. Nate Logan continues to do what he does best, kick everyone's butt into the atmosphere. With wins all over the mountain, Radio Big will be keeping a close eye on the big man. Keep on listening to find out what happens. Some SSX updates for those of you listening in. It's getting pretty tough to ignore Nate Logan. As a mountain powerhouse, Nate is making sure no one's going to be forgetting his name anytime soon. Stay with Radio Big as we follow his continued rule over the rest of the circuit. Now here's the latest in circuit news. If you were looking for a sure thing, a good move, bet it all on Nate. I'm seeing nothing but success in this big dude's future. You got it going on, Nate. You just keep doing what you've been doing. Okay, here's the latest in circuit news. Simon Stark is doing pretty darn good these days. A returning SSX veteran who's destroying the competition. I think it's safe to say that we'll be keeping a running tab on Monsieur Stark. To hear it all, stay right here on Radio Big. Checking in with a little circuit news, we got Simon Stark dominating with wins all over the mountain. As things continue to go from good to scary good for the talented madman, Radio Big will be bringing you all the latest in Stark's developments. Okay, here's what's happening on the mountain. Seems Simon Stark's been making a big impact in the circuit lately. As more and more wins come his way, Radio Big will be there to report on it all. Stay with us as we stay with Simon. Now here's some circuit news for those of you listening. Simon Stark is pretty much trying to let everybody know he's here for the gold and he ain't here for nothing else. Okay, as a serious string of wins continues, Radio Big will be bringing you the latest updates on our man Simon. Time now for the latest in circuit news. Simon Stark continues to do what he does best, kick everyone's butt. With wins all over the mountain, Radio Big will be keeping a close eye on Wacko Simon. Keep at it and stick around, people. And now some SSX updates for those of you listening in. As usual, it's getting a little tough to ignore Simon Stark. As a boarding powerhouse, Simon is making sure nobody's forgetting his name. Stay with Radio Big as we follow his domination over the rest of the circuit. Here's the latest circuit update. Simon, the man has got a lot of wins ahead of him, okay? Seems there's nothing and definitely nobody getting in his way. Keep at it, Simon. You're owning this show. We're back with the latest in circuit news. I'm telling you, I dig watching Simon ride these days, man. His riding is at a level I have not seen in a long time. Big things coming Stark's way, I'm guaranteeing it. Here's the latest in circuit news. You looking for an absolute sure thing? A good move would be throw it all on Simon. I'm seeing nothing but wins and continued domination in his future. Simon, you just keep doing what you've been doing, buddy. Okay, here's what's happened on the mountain. Seems Vigo Rolig's been making a big impact in the circuit lately as more and more wins fall his way. Radio Big will be there to report on it all. Stay with us as we stay with Vigo. Here's the latest in circuit news. Vigo Rolig's doing particularly well these days. A fresh face in the world of SSX. He is kicking mass butt. I think it's safe to say we'll be keeping a running tab on Senor Rolig. To hear it all, stay right here on Radio Big. Here's some circuit news for those of you listening. Vigo Rolig's letting everybody know SSX Gold is going back to Europe. As a serious string of wins continues, Radio Big will be bringing you the latest updates as Vigo makes them happen. Time now for the latest in circuit news. Vigo Rolig continues to do what he does best. Kick everyone else's butt. With wins all over the mountain, Radio Big will be keeping a close eye on Vigo. Sound good to you? Sounds good to me. Yeah? Stick around, baby. Some SSX updates for those of you listening in. It's getting pretty tough to ignore Vigo Rolig. As a boarding powerhouse, Vigo's making sure no one's going to forget the Rolig name. Stay with Radio Big as we follow his domination over the rest of the circuit. Here's the latest circuit update. Vigo, this boy's got a solid gold career ahead of him, man. Seems there is nothing and definitely no one getting in his way. You ever heard him talk? Endless. We're back with the latest in circuit news. I'm telling you, man, I am loving Vigo's riding these days, man. This boarding is at a level I have not seen in a long time. Big things are coming Vigo's way. Here's the latest in circuit news. If you're looking for a sure bet, good move, throw it all on Vigo. I'm seeing nothing but gold in his future, man. You know you got it, Vigo. You just keep doing what you've been doing. Yeah. Checking in with a little circuit news. We got Vigo Rolig dominating with wins all over the mountain. As things continue to go from good to astounding for the uber-talented dude, Radio Big will be bringing you all the latest in Vigo's developments. Here's the latest for y'all in circuit news. Zoe Payne's doing particularly well these days, a returning SSX veteran who's kicking mass butt. I think it's safe to say that we'll be keeping a little bit of a running tab on Miss Payne. To hear it all, stay right here on Radio Big. Checking in with our circuit news here, we got Zoe Payne dominating with wins all over the mountain. As things continue to go from good to astounding for the fan fave, Radio Big will be bringing you all the latest in Zoe's developments. And here's what's happened on the mountain. Seems Zoe Payne's been making a big impact in the circuit lately as more and more wins fall her way. Radio Big will be there to report on it all. Stay with us as we stay with Lady Payne. Time now for the latest in circuit news. Zoe Payne is pretty much continuing to do what she does best. Kick everyone's butt, man. With wins all over the mountain, Radio Big will be keeping a close eye on Zoe. Do yourself a favor, stick around. Here's some SSX updates for those of you listening. It's getting a little tough to ignore Zoe Payne. As a boarding powerhouse, Zoe is making sure nobody's gonna forget her name. Stay with Radio Big as we follow her domination over the rest of the circuit. And now here's some circuit news for those of you listening. Zoe Payne is letting everybody know SSX Gold belongs to her, baby. As a serious string of wins continues, Radio Big will be bringing you the latest updates as Zoe makes them happen. Here's the latest circuit update. Zoe. The girl's got a fantastic future in boarding in front of her. Seems there's nothing, definitely no one getting in her way. You just keep at it, Zoe. You are owning this mountain. We're back with the latest in circuit news. I gotta tell you, I'm loving Zoe's riding these days. Her riding is at a level I have not seen in a long time. Big things are coming Zoe's way. I'm guaranteeing it. There's the latest in circuit news. Anybody out there looking for a sure bet? A good move? Throw it all on Zoe, man. I'm seeing nothing but gold in our future. You know, you got it, Zoe. You just keep doing what you've been doing. You know, there are so many ways to ride and play around through this SSX circuit. Event organizers just sent out a text message giving the lowdown on how to advance up the mountain. Do yourself a favor and check it out. All you riders out there, just a friendly reminder for those of you listening on an MCOM, don't forget to check your text messages. All riders, there's some serious info you're going to need text message-wise on your MCOM. Don't forget to check them out. Here's a message to all competitors. When you get a chance, check out the 411 on what's going on around Big Mountain. Access messages on your MCOM. This is a message for all competitors. For the latest and greatest in text messages, keep checking your MCOM. For everything else, keep listening to me. Here's a message for all competitors. Radio Big wants everyone to remember two things. Your board won't wax itself, and your MCOM can't read your messages for you. All competitors, couple of reminders from the fine folks here at Radio Big. Frostbite is far from cool. Snowboard boots occasionally do need a day off, and MCOM messages do need to be checked regularly. Little reminder to all the SSX competitors out there, our databases are getting a little full. Don't forget to check your MCOM messages.